Next step.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Fakultas Sains dan Teknologi merupakan salah satu fakultas unggulan di kampus UIN Songo Semarang. Dengan visi fakultas terkemuka dalam riset dan pendidikan di bidang sains dan teknologi berbasis kesatuan ilmu pengetahuan untuk kemanusiaan dan peradaban pada tahun 2000.
Orang mungkin orang, Pak.
Fakultas Sains dan Teknologi telah memiliki dosen pendidik dan berkompeten di bidang antara ilmu sains dan teknologi dan ilmu keislaman yang berdasar pada Al-Quran dan As-Sunnah. Lulusan Fakultas Sains dan Teknologi diharapkan menjadi alumni yang unggul, mampu bersaing, dan memiliki wawasan keislaman yang tangguh.
Fakultas Sains dan Teknologi terletak di kampus 2 dan 3 UIN Wali Songo Semarang. Menyelenggarakan pendidikan tingkat sarjana di bawah bimbingan penuh tenaga pengajar yang profesional sesuai dengan keahlian masing-masing. Fakultas Sains dan Teknologi memiliki 9 program studi yang berlandaskan kesatuan ilmu pengetahuan dan berpegang teguh dengan nilai-nilai keislaman dalam menyelenggarakan program pendidikan.
Seorang tenaga pendidik yang profesional harus dapat mengembangkan media pembelajaran yang dapat memotivasi dan merangsang rasa ingin tahu dari peserta didik untuk belajar. Sebab itu, salah satu profil lulusan program studi pendidikan matematika Fakultas Sains dan Teknologi adalah sebagai pengembang media pembelajaran matematika, baik berupa media manipulatif maupun media ICT.
Prodi biologi itu memiliki komitmen yang sangat baik untuk pengembangan sumber daya manusia. Kita punya dosen dengan kualifikasi doktor, magister. Kita juga mengirim dosen-dosen kita untuk studi lanjut di tingkat doktoral. Dan semuanya bagian dari upaya kita untuk terus berkomitmen pada SDM.
Jika Fakultas Sains dan Teknologi Wali Songo Semarang menyediakan 5 bidang peminatan tersebut, yaitu fisika material, geofisika, elektronika dan instrumentasi, fisika medis dan fisika teori.
Untuk menunjang kegiatan perkuliahan, Fakultas Sains dan Teknologi telah menyediakan beragam fasilitas yang sangat lengkap. Fakultas Sains dan Teknologi mempunyai 2 laboratorium, yaitu Laboratorium Komputasi dan Laboratorium Pemrograman. Laboratorium ini digunakan dalam proses pembelajaran, penyelesaian tugas mahasiswa, penelitian dosen, dan kegiatan pengabdian kepada masyarakat.
Bagi pendidikan di kualitas didukung dosen, guru, dan teknik-tekniknya, serta didukung oleh laboratorium biologi yang lengkap, yaitu laboratorium struktur, laboratorium kultur jaringan, laboratorium biologi umum, laboratorium biokimia, laboratorium bioteknik, laboratorium bioteknologi, dan laboratorium mikrobiologi.
Perkuliahan di program studi pendidikan kimia sangat kondusif dan nyaman. Hal ini didukung dengan laboratorium yang memadai, serta dilengkapi dengan instrumen seperti AAS, GCMS, FTIR, HPLC, serta PCR yang sangat mendukung dosen-dosen maupun mahasiswa.
Program Studi Teknologi Informasi Fakultas Sains dan Teknologi UIN Songo Semarang memiliki sarana dan prasarana yang memadai. Ada laboratorium rekayasa perangkat lunak, multimedia, jaringan komputer, teknik digital, dan komunikasi data. Metode pembelajaran berbasis kesatuan ilmu pengetahuan dan teknologi.
Dua orang dengan dapat diberikan
Dan teknologi,
penting.
mahasiswa berprestasi dalam kompetisi akademik maupun non-akademik, baik di tingkat nasional maupun internasional.
Selama mengikuti berbagai kompetisi, saya selalu mendapatkan bimbingan penuh dari dosen-dosen yang berpengalaman sehingga diperoleh hasil yang maksimal.
Sains dan teknologi menghasilkan 30 penelitian,
Yo, what's up?
jurnal reputasi nasional dan internasional, ber-ISBN, dan 30 hak karya intelektual.
Hello?
Pengabdian kepada masyarakat.
Hello, how are you?
Fakultas Sains
Hello. I have a question.
mengadakan berbagai kerjasama baik nasional maupun internasional.
Hello, I got muted. Hello, I need to ask question. I have question, please. Can someone please give me question? Can someone please answer the question, please? Hello? Hello, is
Yes, of course. We hear your voice.
okay. Thank you. I have a question. What is this video about? What is the video about?
The video is about Owen Walisama.
Hi there. If any one of you have any question, please kindly chat it to the host, and we will be very happy to answer your question.
Okay. I'm so sorry. Please.
Because we almost gonna.
Please forgive me. I am so sorry. Okay. I'm so sorry. Please. I just want to eat my curry while I'm watching this video, and I can't. Hello, how are you, Alexander? How are you, my friend? How are you, my? Hello, please help. Hello, Alexander. Please mute your mic. I beg you, please mute your mic. You're getting really annoying. It's gonna hurt in my ears. Please.
Yo, what's up, guys?
Hello.
Can anyone down the 1v1? Just drop your epics in the
I
chat.
want to 1v1 you. In Fortnite. Please.
Drop your epic.
This
Yo, hi,
video
what's
is
up,
so good. Oh my god, I'm having so much fun. I'm under the water
I don't know who
right
these guys
now.
are, but
Oh
they're
my
calling
god,
me out.
I'm having so much fun. Thank you, host. Thank you for putting this video. I really appreciate it. I'm having so much fun. Please, thank you so much, really, my
I have a question.
Dear everyone, if you have any question, please kindly chat to the host and we will be very happy to answer your question.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you.
Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. It is my pleasure. It is my pleasure.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, participants, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim, wa bihi nasta'inu ala umur dunya wa din, wassalatu wassalamu ala asrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin, Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Good afternoon, and we are delighted to welcome you to the opening ceremony of International Webinar Biology Research and Learning during COVID-19 pandemic, held by Biology and Biology Education Department, Faculty of Science and Technology, UIN Wali Songo Semarang, on 26 October 2020. Honorable Director of UIN Wali Songo Semarang, Bapak Profesor Dr. Imam Taufik MAG, Honorable the Vice Rector of Academic UIN Wali Songo Semarang, Bapak Dr. Muhsin Jamil MAG, Honorable the Dean of Science and Technology Faculty, UIN Wali Songo Semarang, Bapak Dr. Ismail MAG, Honorable the Vice Dean of Academic, Bapak Dr. Saminanto MSc, the Vice Deans of Administrations and Finance, Bapak Dr. Nur Khairi MAG, Honorable the Vice Deans of Students Activity, Ibu Dr. Nur Hasanah MKes, Honorable the Head of Department of Biology, Faculty of Science and Technology, Ibu Baik Farhatun Wahida MSc, Honorable the Head of Department of Biology Education, Faculty of Science and Technology, Bapak Dr. Andes Listiono MPD. Honorable our keynote speaker, Mr. Lee Watson MSc, and Mr. Razil Lizaraga, Bachelor of Science. And also, all participants of International Webinar, Biology Research and Learning during COVID-19 pandemic. First of all, let's praise our God, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, the most gracious, the most merciful, the creator and sustainer of the universe. Peace be upon Prophet Muhammad SAW, the last messenger of Allah, who has guided human life from the distractions into the right way of Islam. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dwi Mei. It is an awesome and precious chance for me to be your master ceremony on Monday, 26 October 2020, in our big event, International Webinar, Biology Research and Learning during COVID-19 pandemic. This webinar are intended to provide insight and knowledge for alumni, teachers, and prospective teacher students regarding learning models that can be used during the pandemic period. Due to the pandemic, learning in school is of course affected. Students no longer go to school, so teachers must think about appropriate learning models and keep students active like in schools. So that this webinar aims to provide education implementers with ideas and motivations to carry out the teaching and learning process during the pandemic. This webinar will also discuss research prospects and skills that must be mastered in laboratory. Okay, then before we start our agenda, there will be reciting the Holy Quran by students of UIN Wali Songo Semarang. To Ainur Rofida, time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A'udzu billahi minasy syaithanir rajim.
Sudah di-unmute.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ya ayyuhalladzina amanu idza qila lakum tafassahu fil majalisi ذلك إذا قيل لكم تفسحوا في المجالس فافسحوا يفسح الله لكم وإذا قيل انشزوا فانشزوا يرفع الله الذين آمنوا منكم يرفع الله الذين آمنوا منكم والذين أوتوا العلم درجات والله بما تعملون خبير يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا ناجيتم الرسول إذا ناجيتم الرسول فقدموا بين يدي نجواكم صدقة ذلك خير لكم وأطهر فإن لم تجدوا فإن الله غفور رحيم أأشفقتم أن تقدموا بين يدي نجواكم صدقات فإذ لم تفعلوا وتاب الله عليكم فأقيموا الصلاة فأقيموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة وأطيعوا الله ورسوله والله خبير بما تعملون والله خبير بما تعملون صدق الله العظيم. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for Ainul Rafida. Excellencies, participants, ladies and gentlemen, we are now going to listen the opening speech. The first opening speech will be delivered by Dean of Faculty of Science and Technology UIN Wali Songo Semarang, Bapak Dr. Ismail MAG. You may take the floor. Monggo, Bapak Dr. Ismail.
Oke. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa syukurillah, wa salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, wa la hawla wa la quwata illa billah, amma ba'd. To the Honorable Rector, Professor Dr. PhD Imam Taufik MAG, Vice Rector, Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Muhsin Jamil MAG, the Deans and the leaders of UIN Wali Songo Semarang, to the respectable invited speakers, the first, Mr. Rezil Lizaraga from the United States, and the second, Mr. Lee James Watson from United Kingdom, and all the participants from overseas and Indonesia. First of all, praise be to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, the Almighty, who always give us healthy and nice condition so that we can meet together in this meeting, in this forum, international webinar on biology. And secondly, salawat and salam might be sent to our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam by reciting Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. In this occasion, I am as Dean of the Faculty of Science and Technology UIN Wali Songo Semarang. I extend to you all our warmest welcome to the international webinar on biology research sharing and learning during COVID-19 pandemic. that conducted by the Department of Biology and Biology Education, Faculty of Science and Technology, UIN Wali Songo Semarang. Dear guests, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you for your support and participation in this webinar. I'm sure it will enrich ideas and perspective on how to strengthen the growth of international collaboration in higher education, especially in UIN Wali Songo Semarang. I hope that this webinar will produce significant and valuable ideas to the development of biology research, teaching and learning in Indonesia and in the whole world. This webinar will also provide the most recent innovation, trends, concerns, practical challenges in Kantor, and the solution adopted in the field of distance learning and laboratory protocol awareness during the pandemic. And in this occasion, I say thank you for Mr. Vice Rector 1, Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Muhsin Jamil, as on behalf of Rector, and sincerely, I do hope to Vice Rector 1 to give remark and officially open this international webinar. Thank you very much for your attention. Have a nice webinar. Have a nice discussion. Wallahu muwaffiq ila aqwamit thoriq. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, sir. It was delighting welcoming speech from Bapak Dr. Ismail M.Ag. Excellencies, distinguished guests, participants, ladies and gentlemen, now we are going to listen to the next opening speech delivered by the Vice Rector of Academic UIN Wali Songo Semarang. And afterward, we would like to request the Vice Rector to officially open the webinar. Bapak Dr. Muhsin Jamil M.Ag, time is yours. Monggo, Bapak.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asrofil anbiya'i wal mursalin sayyidina wa maulana Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa ashabi ajmain. La haula wala quwata illa billahil aliyil azim. Amma ba'd. Good afternoon to the honorable rector, vice rectors, dean, especially dean of the Faculty of Science and Technology, the director of postgraduate program, the head of study program of biology, Department of Biology, and also all of the official. To the respectable speakers, the first is Lee James Weston from Newcastle University, United Kingdom. The second is Razil Lizaraga, Bachelor of Science from UCLA, USA. And also moderator, Mbak Tara Pudi Duha, MSc. All of the participants of international webinar in biology research and learning during COVID-19 pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to virtually welcome to all of the speakers and also participants in the seminar, in the webinar entitled Biology Research and Learning during COVID-19 Pandemic, held by Department of Biology, the Faculty of Science and Technology, State Islamic University Wali Songo, Semarang. As we know, since the end of 2019, the COVID-19 has attacked all the countries in the world. So there are some effort to resolve this kind of problem, especially in terms of education, for example. All of the people in the world attempt to find some breakthrough in serving the life. For example, in Wali Songo, we conducted a teaching learning process through online services. Technology of teaching learning process, for example, especially information technology, become very important aspect of our educations. In the one hand, this kind of technology gives some facilities in terms of make our life easy, but in other hand, we have some obstacle. For example, some students usually say that there is some obstacle, for example, in terms of the limited of signal, for example, and also costly. It is the obstacle of produced by online services in teaching learning process. But I would like to mention that COVID-19, in one hand, is attack our life, but also provided several opportunity for us, especially in terms of develop our life and also our understanding about the nature. Through this, disaster, we suddenly transform to digital life. And by this pandemic, our life already, digitalized. So it is, I think, the chief of, COVID-19. So we know life in digitalization era. And I think after COVID-19 end, the digitalization will be, the future of our life. So will be not stop, although the COVID-19 already stopped, for example. This is the challenge for us on how to find some opportunity in our education. So on behalf of the State Islamic University of Wali Songo, I would like to give the appreciation to Dean of Faculty of Science and Technology, especially to the Department of Biology, for holding this webinar international on biology teaching learning in COVID-19 pandemic. I think it will fruitful for us and also will enrich our ideas with our breakthrough on how to develop our teaching learning process, especially in UIN Wali Songo, Semarang. On behalf of State Islamic University Wali Songo, I would like to thank for all of the participants for attend in this occasion, in this seminar, and also participate to contribute some ideas on how to develop teaching learning methodology, for example, teaching learning strategy in COVID-19 pandemic. So finally, on behalf of TIT Islamic University of Wali Songo, I officially declare the opening of this webinar international on biology, teaching, learning, research, learning in COVID-19 pandemic. Enjoy this seminar. Thank you for all. Wallahu muwaffiq ila aqwamit thoriq. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. What an enlightening speech. Thank you very much, Bapak Dr. Mohsin Jamil MAG, the Vice Rector of Academic UIN Wali Songo Semarang. And now, before we continue to the main agenda, we will hold a photo session. Please turn on the camera for all participants and hold the position for a second. Okay, I will count for take photo sessions. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are now continuing our meeting to the main agenda. That is to hear the keynote speakers, which will be delivered by Razili Zaraga, Bachelor Science, with the topic is Biology Distance Learning during COVID-19 pandemic. And the second one is Lee Watson's MSc, with the topic is Using Biology Skill in Alternative Career and the Effect of COVID-19 on UK Working Life. The webinar will be moderated by Ibu Tara Puri Duharahmani MSc. She is a biology lecturer of UIN Wali Songo Semarang, and she is graduated from MSc Industrial and Commercial Biotechnology, Newcastle University, United Kingdom. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ibu Tara Puri Duharahmani MSc.
Yeah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much everyone for coming in this humble conference, and thank you for all of my good friends from United States, from United Kingdom, even from Kazakhstan and Singapore and other parts of the world into this conference. I am as the moderator will guide this conference, and I'm wondering if my good friend is here. Raziel Lisaraga, are you here already?
I am here already. Hi, Tara.
Okay, great. Now, before we go to the next step, I would love to introduce him with several slides that I already prepared. Okay, here are the keynote speakers of international webinar. The international webinar on biology research, sharing, and learning during COVID-19 pandemic on the 26th of October 2020. And my name is Tara Puri Duharahmani. Here are my emails. I am the biology lecturer of UIN Wali Songo. My high school is in Central Union High School in California, along with Raziel Lizaraga when I'm doing the exchange student program in a high school. And my master degree is the Master of Science in Industrial and Commercial Biotechnology in Newcastle University, United Kingdom. So I would love to tell you a little bit about AFS Bina Antar Budaya. It is an exchange student for 1 year for a high school student. And one of the notable alumni is, I think most of Indonesian people know about them. One of them is Najwa Shihab and Anies Baswedan, and also the notable Taufik Ismail. So I believe some of you are high school teachers in here. You can try to encourage your students to go to the exchange study program with AFS Bina Antar Budaya. And right now, here's the keynote speaker, Mr. Raziel Lizaraga, Bachelor of Science. He will give you the speech regarding the biology distance learning during COVID-19 pandemic. In here, I will give you 2 languages. So after Raziel already give some points, I will try to translate in Indonesia. And if you would like to ask something to Raziel or to the committee, you can go into the chat room. We will also have a discussion session at the end of his speech. This is Raziel Lizaraga, Bachelor of Science. He's a biology and chemistry teacher or science teacher at Vincent Memorial Catholic High School. And he also substitute at Central High School and Brawley Elementary District. And one of his education is he's graduated from one of the best university in United States, which is the UCLA or University of California in Los Angeles. He's already very smart since high school. And this is our high school back then in the US, Central Union High School in California. Yeah. So Raziel, are you ready to present all of your things?
Yes, I'm ready to go.
Okay, thank you. Please welcome Raziel Lizaraga.
Hello and welcome. Thank you, Ms. Tara, for that wonderful introduction.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Well, as you have heard from Ms. Tara, she and I met in high school. I currently work at a high school teaching biology and chemistry. I attended the University of California, Los Angeles for biology. I traveled abroad, and I would like to share with you some of those travelings where I learned how to pick up skills for teaching. So I'll share the screen now. Okay, and Ms. Tara, can you let me know, is this okay?
Yeah.
It does? Okay, perfect.
You're on already.
All right. Okay, so the idea for this webinar is to reflect and adapt as students and teachers during distance learning. Now, you'll notice this is where Tara and I met. This is where I currently work, and this is where I worked before I came back to the United States. I graduated from the University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA, and then I traveled abroad to Ulsan, South Korea. This is where I currently teach biology and chemistry. And this is maybe the most famous of the firework festivals in South Korea. This is the Busan Fireworks Festival. I taught in a nearby city. There I am judging an English competition. Here is my then girlfriend. She is now my wife. And here is Ms. Tara and I.
Yeah, we were very young. It was like we were 17 years old, yeah, Razi.
Yes, we were very young. And as you can see, we were playing some video games.
Yeah.
Okay, so the presentation topics for today. We're going to discuss how back in March, we made the transition from teaching inside a classroom into distance learning, where we are now in an online platform. The second topic will be an in-person engagement, meaning how do I engage with my students when we are in the classroom, but how do I engage with them now? The third topic, go ahead.
Yeah, finish your topic and then I will translate it for you.
Okay. The third topic is how did I have to adapt from teaching in a classroom to teaching online, and the different types of assessment that we can do online now. Go ahead, Ms. Tara.
Okay, so let me try to translate it into bahasa. Jadi Bapak Ibu, topik yang akan disampaikan oleh Mr. Raziel hari ini ada 4. Yang pertama adalah transisi dari classroom atau pembelajaran di kelas menjadi online learning karena ada pandemi ini ya. Dan yang kedua adalah in-person engagement versus online engagement. Jadi in-person engagement itu adalah mirip dengan ketika kita melihat seseorang atau berinteraksi dengan student versus dengan kita interaksi dengan student secara online. Apakah ada tips dari Mr. Raziel akan kita temukan. Lalu yang nomor 3 adalah adaptasi antara guru dan murid. Dan yang keempat adalah mode atau cara-cara dari assessment atau penilaian. Okay, go ahead, Raziel.
Thank you, Ms. Tara. Okay, transition to online learning. So around 7 months ago now, we told our students we would no longer see them in class. That weekend, Saturday and Sunday, we had to prepare our lesson plans for an online learning experience. And now we only see our students through a camera. It has become a transition of a social experience when we are to a less social environment online. The obstacles now are digital and they are no longer obstacles that students may face in class. So the distractions are now different. So we have new challenges.
Ya, jadi dalam 7 bulan ini ada transisi antara online. Jadi yang tadinya kita bisa berinteraksi dengan mudah, sekarang sudah mulai sulit. Yang
Now, oops. Now, in person, I may have had to be stern and make sure that my students were learning their skills as I walked around the classroom. And now I can see their participation through a screen, as opposed to having to check on them if they're working or not, or if they raise their hands in classroom, I can go help. But today, now I have to check on them through Zoom in the private chats, or as you will see later, we will do some practice lecture where you will see what it is to be a student during distance learning. Would you like to translate, Ms. Sara?
Yeah, no. If it's Gary, then I will not translate it.
Oh, okay. Okay, so these are the student adaptations and teacher adaptations that I now use in my classroom. So how do I make a classroom experience engaging, interactive? How do I get them to participate? These are many different apps that I use in the classroom. Some of them you may recognize, some of them you may not. The one we will discuss today will be Nearpod, but here are the other applications that we use to engage our students.
Ya, jadi di kelasnya Raziel Lizaraka di Amerika Serikat, untuk mengadaptasikan teacher dan student, maka Raziel menggunakan beberapa platform. Platform yang digunakan oleh Raziel contohnya adalah Nearpod yang akan kita bahas sebentar lagi, Flipgrid, Seesaw, Google Classroom, dan juga whiteboard.chat. Go on.
Thank you. Okay, now, Ms. Sara, I was told I may have some participants for the Nearpod. We will now have a live participation activity.
Can anyone in the, all participants go also, like they would like to participate in this demo? Should I translate it for them to click the link and?
They cannot. I will put the link in the chat. Is that okay?
Okay. Ya. Mr. Raziel akan meletakkan linknya di chat untuk Bapak Ibu dan teman-teman semua yang ingin bermain-main dengan Nearpod. Jadi nanti Raziel akan mencoba untuk melakukan workshop mengenai Nearpod. Itu adalah salah satu platform yang paling sering digunakan oleh Raziel di Amerika Serikat. Jadi semoga ilmunya bermanfaat ya Bapak Ibu. Are you ready, Raziel?
Yes, I will now go ahead and post the website with a code in the chat.
Iya, website, link, dan kodenya sudah di-send Raziel di chat, maka Bapak Ibu dipersilakan untuk mengecek chat dan mengeklik. Lebih mudah apabila menggunakan laptop, ya Bapak Ibu. So Raziel, it is easier if you use a laptop other than using the cell phone, right?
Yeah, so the app is okay to use on a cell phone. That'll be okay. You can also use a laptop. It will be a bit easier with the computer, but you can use a phone.
Iya, oke. Jadi Aplikasinya bisa digunakan baik melalui laptop ataupun handphone. Jadi handphone juga bisa, namun akan lebih mudah apabila menggunakan laptop. Yeah, we're ready, Raziel.
Okay.
Okay.
Now here it is. I will now post it in the chat now that you're ready. And Ms. Tara, I do have to inform you. It will only hold up to maybe 40 people. So.
Oke, jadi dalam demo kali ini maksimum hanya 40 partisipan, disesuaikan dengan jumlah rata-rata kelas yang ada di Amerika Serikat, yaitu 40 student. Jadi Bapak Ibu cepat-cepatan ya, apabila Bapak Ibu tidak bisa masuk, maka bisa mengikuti step by step-nya via Raziel.
Now I will go ahead and share my screen so that you may see the teacher perspective, so that you can see what a teacher sees.
Ya, jadi Raziel akan share screen apa yang dilihat oleh guru melalui screen yang ada di Zoom. Jadi Bapak Ibu yang tidak termasuk dalam 40 orang tadi atau kalah cepat bisa tetap menyimak via screen Raziel.
And Ms. Tara, do you happen to see my screen? Does it look okay?
Yeah, it's okay.
Perfect. Now, this is how I introduce content, biology content, to my students. This is just a very simple lesson, and you can modify this for kindergarten to university level. Let's begin. As you can see, it looks very much like a PowerPoint slide or a Google slide. I always like to start out with an objective with my students so they know what we are doing for the day.
Ya, Bapak Ibu, jadi dalam report ini dia penampilannya akan mirip seperti slides, jadi PowerPoint, namun kita bisa memodifikasinya untuk menaikkan levelnya hingga level university atau bahkan menurunkan levelnya hingga paling rendah level TK. Yes, Raziel.
Thank you. Now, this is an instructor-paced presentation. Me, as the instructor, can control how quickly we go through the presentation. The students cannot do that right now.
Oke, jadi di sini adalah kontrol yang ada di instruktur ya. Jadi student tidak bisa melakukan kontrol yang dilakukan oleh Raziel. Yeah, so Razi, how many students do you have online right now?
It shows 37 students.
37, that's great. So we have 3 more left. Bapak Ibu, 3 orang lagi jika ingin bergabung dengan Raziel bisa mengeklik linknya dan juga memasukkan kodenya. You want to wait until 40 or 36 is enough for you, Raziel?
We have 40.
Oh, you have 40 already.
We have
okay,
40.
Sudah ada 40 orang. Yeah, you can start, Raziel.
Okay. As you can see, if you are not participating, you are now seeing what the teacher sees. You can see every response from every student across the whole screen. And since we are in Zoom, if I do not see a student participating, I can send them a private message in the private chat asking them to participate.
What are the dots? Is it the answer of your...
Their responses, correct. So this is what the student would see. And I'll just put that right there.
Ya, oke. Jadi kalau dalam layarnya student, maka nanti akan ada pertanyaan, ada berapa jumlah sel yang ada di tubuh kita. Student bisa mengklik mau yang mana jawabannya. Nanti dari pihak teacher akan terlihat mana student yang sudah menjawab, mana student yang belum menjawab. Student yang belum menjawab bisa dikirimkan email secara private oleh teacher untuk mengingatkan agar mereka tetap berpartisipasi. Yes, Raziel?
Thank you. As you can see, this is what a student sees. They can respond here, and this is what I see.
So you can do it back and forth between teacher view and student's view, right?
Correct, and it will not impact the student experience. They will not see their responses. So for example, if I click share and I go over to student view, this is what the student sees. They will see how the rest of the class responded but they will not know who responded how. This
Oke,
is very
jadi
good.
jadi student juga bisa melihat apa yang sudah jawaban mereka apabila sudah diklik share oleh teacher. Namun bagusnya dari Nearpod ini adalah semuanya anonim. Jadi tidak ada yang harus malu atau takut apakah jawaban mereka salah atau tidak. Oke. And if you have any question, you are very welcome to put it in the chat. We will try our best to help you.
Absolutely. Now, there was something I wanted to mention. It'll come back to me at some point. Oh, because it is anonymous, the student does not have to worry about another student seeing that they are incorrect or correct. It is about learning. It is not about feeling guilty of the learning experience. Okay, here is another presentation for the vocabulary of the lesson. As I'll give you maybe 30 seconds to read this, you will be asked some questions.
Ini adalah penampang salah satu materi dari Nearpod. Student diminta untuk membaca karena setelah ini kemungkinan ada kuis lagi dari instruktur.
Okay, I think we've seen enough. Now, here is another multiple choice question. I'll give you 30 seconds to respond.
Sekarang student akan diminta untuk menjawab pertanyaan dari materi yang telah dibaca sebelumnya. Body systems are made of blah blah blah, tissues and organs. Jadi student diminta untuk menjawab pertanyaannya masing-masing. Dan di sini Bapak Ibu bisa melihat ada student yang sudah mengeklik warna hijau itu adalah yang sudah merespon. Yeah, the green dots are the students who already responded, right, Raziel? And there are some students who are not responding yet. Yes, jadi ada beberapa student yang belum merespon. That is how the teacher can control if the students still engage or not.
Correct. And this is where we interact with our student in the private chat, reminding them that they need to respond.
Yes, jadi beginilah cara teacher untuk mengecek apakah studentnya sudah mengerjakan tugas mereka atau jangan-jangan studentnya tidak melihat komputer entah pergi kemana. Itulah yang sering kita alami ya Bapak Ibu. Jadi di sini student benar-benar harus tune in atau menyimak benar-benar. How can you do the demo of the private chat if you would like to remind your students?
Here on Zoom?
Yeah, is it possible to do a private chat or reminding them?
So here on Zoom, I can click on any participant name, click on their name, and it says private chat, and I just give them the question.
Oke. Jadi bisa diingatkan dengan cara mengeklik namanya dan bisa langsung chat student yang bersangkutan agar langsung merespon. Okay, go on, Raziel.
Thank you, Ms. Tara. Okay, this is what are cells? You know, they're made out of a membrane. They have liquid that's a cytoplasm that keeps all of the structures inside. They have the nucleus with DNA. Now, I would like to show you that I'm not going to play the video, but you can integrate YouTube with Nearpod. Nearpod has the option for you to stay within the Nearpod website and search on YouTube and immediately put the video inside the slide. You do not have to leave Nearpod. So that is a great integration.
Ya, jadi dalam Nearpod apabila Bapak Ibu punya materi, yang di materi tersebut ada video dari YouTube, bisa diintegrasikan. Jadi misalnya setelah menerangkan tentang sel, lalu ada materi dari YouTube, bisa langsung masuk ke Nearpod, jadi student hanya tinggal mengeklik saja untuk menyimak video yang telah Bapak Ibu berikan. Oke, Razi.
If you could also share with everyone that at the end of the lecture, I'm going to show them that how much content we can add to it. It's not just YouTube, it is all of the internet. I'll show them afterwards. Okay. Now you are going to become artists. You are going to go ahead and draw for me. Now, here on the next slides, I will show you, and as a student, they can also scroll up and down in the images to look at plant cells, right? To look at animal cells. They can do that on their own.
Oke, jadi student juga bisa mengeklik gambar-gambar yang telah disediakan oleh teacher untuk melihat sel-sel yang ada di sini. Misalnya apabila materinya mengenai sel. Yes, Razi?
Thank you. Okay, now this is an open text response. You will be typing. So you can use 2-3 words just to describe what you saw.
Oke, silakan kepada partisipan untuk menjawab. Please, to all of the participants, please kindly respond into the questions from Raziel.
Now, as you can see from the teacher perspective, if you are not participating in this lesson, you will see on my screen that I can read all of the student responses. And I will know who's responding, who isn't. It also gives you the percentage for participation. So you will know if you are reaching the percentage that you would like. I aim to reach between 85 to 90% participation. Sometimes some students do not respond, and that's okay. But for the most part, I almost always have everyone respond.
Jadi dari sini bisa disimak Bapak Ibu, apabila ada yang sudah menjawab pertanyaan dari kita atau yang belum akan terlihat, dan juga ada persentase dari partisipan yang sudah menjawab atau murid yang sudah menjawab. Di sini ada 62% partisipan telah menjawab, berarti mereka berpartisipasi.
And I will now share with all of our classmates, because you're now in my classroom, I will now share what one of your classmates wrote. Now on your screen, on the student screen, you are going to see a response from a fellow classmate. So this is one of their responses. This is a way of showing all of your classmates what is a good starting point, what is the next level of understanding, and what is the best level of understanding, so that students have a full comprehension of what the description should look like. Okay, here we are going to discuss the body systems. You can go ahead and label or draw, if you wish, on the next slide. So here you are now all artists. You will see an image and you are going to maybe label a bone. Maybe you can draw where the heart is. Maybe the lungs for the respiratory system. So this is a way of allowing my students to express themselves creatively.
Ya, jadi student juga bisa menulis atau menggambar dari template yang sudah disediakan oleh teacher ya Bapak Ibu. Jadi student bisa mempergunakan sisi kreatifnya dalam aplikasi Nearpod ini.
As you can see, I, as a teacher, can look at all of the responses, all of the drawings for my students, and I can share some of their responses.
Ya, jadi sebagai teacher bisa melihat semua respon dari student-student yang sudah masuk dan bisa di-share juga. Can you show us how to share the responses,
Of course,
Mr. Raziel?
Of course, I will click on one who has finished. There we go.
Ya, jadi tinggal diklik nama studentnya yang ingin di-share. Misalnya contohnya jawaban yang benar, maka bisa diklik share.
And then I unshare, and that's it.
Okay, so in the teacher's view, you can see the names, but if you share, the students cannot see which ones who. All right.
Okay, now we are going to wrap up for this one, right? This is a quick quiz. How are we on time, Ms. Sara? I could skip this.
Yeah, you can try maybe for a few seconds.
Oh, leave it there for a few seconds? Okay.
Okay.
Or you want me to?
Can we also see your student view of the quiz?
Of course. So this is the student view of the quiz.
Jadi setelah selesai lessonnya, maka bisa dijadikan quiz juga Bapak Ibu, agar kita bisa mengecek sedalam apakah
So here's the
pemahaman student.
question. They go ahead and respond. They can hit
Our
next.
planet. Yeah, so how many questions are there for?
4 questions. Short, simple. You just want to make sure that they are engaged and that they are retaining that knowledge.
Ya, jadi di sini Raziel hanya menggunakan 4 pertanyaan saja, hanya untuk mengecek apakah student kita masih ada atau sudah hilang dari depan layar komputer. Jadi tidak perlu yang rumit-rumit, kuisnya hanya yang ringan-ringan saja.
Okay. I would like to just go ahead, now that they've seen what it looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and skip forward. This is another open text. I would like to also, Ms. Dara, do you think it wise to skip to the next interactive portion?
Whatever you wish, Mr. Raziel.
All right, thank you. So I will now go ahead and show you another interactive lesson. This has to do with the circulatory system, water, the states of matter. So here is a response for you. In a little bit, you will be asked to participate in a simulation.
Oke, jadi ini adalah contoh interaktif lainnya. Jadi silakan Bapak Ibu yang masuk ke kuis untuk menjawab pertanyaan yang sudah disampaikan oleh teacher.
Now, one of my favorite things about Nearpod is that all of this information is recorded, immediately graded, and I can download this report. I can download all of these responses so that I can analyze it after we're done.
Ya, jadi Bapak Ibu, kelebihan Nearpod adalah setelah selesai menjalankan semua kuis-kuis yang ada, kita juga bisa men-save dan mendownload hasil dari kuis tersebut apabila suatu saat ingin di-report atau dilaporkan ke orang tua siswa atau ingin disampaikan ke studentnya sendiri apakah mereka malas atau mereka rajin, bisa dilihat dari hasil yang sudah di-download.
I will now proceed. Okay, so in the next simulation, my students will go ahead and test how the water molecules move around when there is low energy, high energy, and this is how it looks like. So for my students, you will go ahead and click on water, as you can see here. And when you click your water, you're going to go ahead and explore on each of these buttons. You will explore in the state of solid, the liquid state, and the gas state. So here you go. For everyone watching at home, you are now going to see a simulation of what my students can go ahead and do. This is the student perspective and my perspective. Now, as you can see, if I change through every state of matter, the molecules will move around. Go ahead, Ms. Dara.
Ini adalah salah satu simulasi yang bisa dilihat bersama oleh teacher dan student. Another question, Mr. Raziel, how do you get this kind of simulation? Do you have to?
The simulation, I will show how to incorporate this with Nearpod. Nearpod has, if you can see here in the bottom right-hand corner, PHET. This is a program that is run by the University of Colorado. They have their own separate website that you could visit, but Nearpod does have the integration for it. So here in the slides, as you are making your own, you can click on this little symbol in the slide and it will give you all the simulations from kindergarten to university level by every content: physics, biology, life science, chemistry. So it is a very wide range of simulations that you can use. I use this as well for chemistry so that I can show atoms and how the mass changes with the neutrons. Go ahead.
Okay, is it only the PHET or does it also another application as well?
With simulations?
Yeah, this kind of simulations. So mostly you got it from PHET.
Correct. The PHET, they have a lot of simulations. for all the different science content. They even have some for math as well.
Okay.
So it's fantastic. Once we're done with this lesson, I will show you how to incorporate this into a slide.
Oke, jadi Bapak Ibu, bagaimana cara mendapatkan simulasi yang bagus seperti ini? Raziel bisa mengeklik ke program namanya PHET, itu adalah salah satu program miliknya University of Colorado. Di sana ada banyak sekali simulasi yang bisa dipilih oleh Bapak Ibu. Jadi tidak hanya di bidang biologi, tapi ada juga bidang-bidang lainnya seperti matematika dan yang lain. Oke, go on, Raziel.
Now, the importance of these simulations is that my students can see how things would work in a lab. Since we are distance learning, this is another form of engagement where they get to practice their observational skills. Now, here is a collaborative board where now we do see all of our students' responses. So if you were participating as a student, you can go ahead and write, a few words of how the water molecules behaved when you were clicking on the simulation. Go ahead, Ms. Tara.
Can I do it right here? I don't think I joined the pod.
I don't think so either.
Okay. I'm not there.
I don't see you. I see Theo.
Yeah. Okay, but what do you want the participants to do?
Just how you see students here responding with, they will now see all of their classmates. This is the one slide where they will see student responses.
So it's like a blackboard for students.
Exactly.
Ya, jadi Bapak Ibu di Nearpod juga ada fasilitas seperti papan tulis untuk student. Jadi kita dan student bisa melihat apa saja yang sudah dijawab oleh teman-teman kita.
As you can see, you can also add images as students.
Jadi sebagai student kita juga bisa memasukkan gambar-gambar yang menurut kita relevan dengan pertanyaan yang sudah diberikan oleh guru kita.
Now, this is one of the social interactions that we do include with Nearpod. Now, here, again, a quick reminder to my students, what does the water molecules look like when it's in a solid state, a liquid state, and a gas state? These are slides that the student at home, either on their phone or on the computer, can go ahead and scroll up and down. They could do that on their own.
So it's like a mini PPT or mini slides,
it's a
right?
mini PPT.
Oke, jadi dalam Nearpod juga bisa dimasukkan beberapa slide seperti PowerPoint. Jadi murid-murid di rumah bisa untuk mengeklik slide-nya dan membaca beberapa slide berikutnya, membaca materi dalam slide tersebut. Oke?
Now, welcome back. You are now all artists again. You can go ahead and draw for that image. And as you can see here, Ms. Tara, this is the image that they see. They are now going to go ahead and draw, well, it says neon, but they're going to draw water as a solid, how the molecules were behaving when they clicked on solid.
Oke, jadi sekarang para student dipersilakan untuk menjawab pertanyaan dan mensubmit gambarnya agar teacher bisa melihat seperti apa jawaban dari teman-teman semua.
And Ms. Tara, as you can see, I, as the teacher, can see who's drawing as they draw, which is fantastic. I can check on who is participating, who is not. But what I would like to point out is that when we are in school, we try as teachers to incorporate every mode of assessment, correct? We try to do a social collaborative practice group. We try to have them draw. We try to have them do projects. Nearpod, you as students have already participated in a polling question, open text question, a simulation, and drawing. So you've already done quite a bit of different modes of learning.
Oke, jadi sekali lagi Bapak Ibu, dari sini, dari teacher's view, kita bisa melihat mana student yang sudah mensubmit gambarnya, yang berarti mereka aktif dan menyimak semua pertanyaan kita, mana juga student yang masih belum mengumpulkan gambar. Jadi kalau di dunia nyata itu adalah student yang mungkin apakah laptopnya ditinggal atau tidak. Nah, ini bisa dikontrol dari Nearpod ini.
Okay, I will now go ahead and proceed. Ms. Sara, how are we doing on time? There's 2 more drawings, but I would like to know if I need to.
You're good. You're good.
I'm good? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Here's another drawing. So this is for the liquid state. So how are the water molecules working there? So as you can see, because we practice in the simulation every different states, I must now engage my students and have them show me their understanding of every state by drawing.
Oke, dari sini juga kita bisa menyimak apakah student kita sudah memahami apa yang sudah kita jelaskan. Seringkali terjadi, so Raziel, I think it happens a lot of times when we ask everyone, do you understand? And then everybody was like silence or yes, but in their assessment, they got it like a lot of bad marks. Is it happen too in the United States?
Well, I can only speak for my experience. I remember when in March, we first transitioned into online learning, that definitely had a lot of but I had a gap between what I was teaching and what the student was learning. There was a very difficult time trying to assess what a student learned because, like you said, they may not respond. That is very difficult. I think when you work on a digital online platform, such as Nearpod, they do not see a lot of commitment, right? It's very easy to interact. A student, right?
Yeah,
they were born with the internet. Go ahead.
Yeah. Jadi Bapak Ibu seringkali kita mengalami apabila kita bertanya, teacher bertanya, apakah sudah paham semua? Dan ternyata dijawab dengan diam atau mungkin dijawab dengan sudah Bu, sudah Pak. Namun ketika ulangan nilainya tidak mencerminkan apa yang sudah dijawab. Maka dari Nearpod ini kita bisa mengontrol apakah anak-anak kita sudah benar-benar paham atau tidak. Karena ini juga dialami oleh Raziel beberapa kali dalam pengalamannya mengajar. Okay.
Now, I did want to mention, I think that our students for the last 5 years or so, they were born into the internet. You and I are of the generation that still did not have cell phones.
The old school
or did not have internet, but we inherited the internet. We learned how to do it because it progressed into what it is now. Students today, this is all they know. So they are all about instant, very quick apps, and Nearpod is exactly
perfect
that.
For that.
It's perfect.
Yeah. Iya, jadi student zaman now pasti lebih mengenal apapun yang berbau digital, karena itu Razi berpendapat bahwa student akan lebih nyaman menggunakan simulasi digital seperti ini, di saat yang seperti ini juga. Jadi ini merupakan salah satu alternatif yang terbaik menurut Raziel. Okay?
Okay. How are we doing on time? Because there's one more drawing. I don't want them to get bored.
Yeah, okay. One more drawing.
You sure? We can
One
skip?
more drawing is okay. And everyone, if you have any questions, please prepare it right now. You can ask your question through the chat room. You can ask your question in Bahasa Indonesia or in English. If the question is in Bahasa Indonesia, I will be happy to translate it to you. And we will open the discussion session later after Razi is finished. If you would like to talk to Raziel directly. Is it okay?
Yeah, that's perfectly fine.
Yes.
I would enjoy that.
Yeah, there are 2 ways to ask your questions. You can ask your questions through the chat room, and you can ask your questions directly into Raziel. You can also ask your question in Bahasa Indonesia, and I will translate it for you.
Okay, so is there time for me to show maybe teachers who are in the audience how to make this?
Yeah.
Like maybe a little bit, yes? Okay. And I'll skip this. This is just them connecting the thing, so. Okay, 3-question quiz, and this will be the end. Now, one thing that I will show you after this presentation is how to download all of these reports. As you can see, we have 40 wonderful participants, wonderful students who are answering their questions. And Ms. Sara, I don't know how it is over there, but for me to know who is doing how well, it took, a day or two when I would create their work after. This is immediate. I know where their level of understanding is as soon as this lesson is over. So I can prepare, a different modification for them.
Great. So bye-bye old school way.
Yes, maybe. I hope to, integrate this once we return to in-person classrooms, because the engagement, the participation is all up.
Oke. So, jadi Bapak Ibu di sini sudah bisa kelihatan kuis terakhir. Sudah bisa dilihat juga mana yang korek atau jawabannya betul dan mana yang incorrect atau jawabannya kurang betul. Dan di situ kita bisa membantu murid-murid kita untuk lebih memahami, terutama murid-murid yang jawabannya belum betul. Okay, Raziel.
Thank you. Now,
yeah. Are we ready for the discussion session?
Would they like to see how to do this? How much time do we have? Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So what I'm going to do, this is the end of it. Those of us who participated, thank you so much. I enjoyed looking at your drawings.
Ya, terima kasih untuk yang sudah berpartisipasi. Razi sangat menikmati hasil karya Bapak Ibu semua yang sudah berpartisipasi. Dan sekarang Razi akan memberikan caranya bagaimana untuk melihat kesimpulan atau keseluruhan dari hasil hari ini. So, Razi, you will show us how is your classroom doing through the Nearpod, right?
Yeah, so this classroom that we just participated, if you are a teacher and you are thinking of incorporating this type of digital platform, on the left-hand side of your Nearpod library, you'll notice that there's a button that says Reports.
Reports.
So if I click on this, I'll see all of my lessons.
Oke. Jadi dari platform guru bisa dilihat bahwa ada pilihan library, ada pilihan reports. Nah, kita bisa klik reports dan di situ akan terlihat semua mata pelajaran atau mata kuliah yang sudah kita ajarkan. Ada tanggalnya. So there's a dates also, Raziel, right?
Correct, with the timing. So this is hours right now. We started at 11:40.
Ya, jadi ada tanggalnya dan ada jumlah student yang ikut dalam materi tersebut. Kita bisa memilih. So right now it's 11 p.m. in the US, right?
12:15 in the morning.
12:15 in the morning. Oh ya, jadi Bapak Ibu, Raziel ini karena perbedaan waktu ya, jadi saat ini adalah tanggal 25 di Amerika Serikat dan sekitar tengah malam. Jadi terima kasih sekali. Thank you very much for Raziel for giving us your time and your sleeping time as well.
Of course, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is where you would download as a teacher. So you can see all of their responses and see all the percentages. Something I think as teachers would take us a long time to grade, right? But here you can see it all as a report, open-ended questions. Maybe we skipped that one, don't recall, but here it is. So there it is, all open questions. Here are all of their drawings.
Oke. Jadi kita bisa melihat hasil student kita kapan-kapan. So it is saved for later, ya, Raziel.
Correct. So you can always download these at the top as the whole session, or if you'd like to send the student view, you can always download the student view for a specific student. So for example, if I wanted to speak to Tio and send him, hey, I'm going to download this for you, Tio, and I will send it to you. So you can see your work. So you can do this and you can download the whole class for yourself.
Oke. Jadi kita bisa mendownload seluruh kelas atau mendownload masing-masing untuk mengirimnya ke student tertentu.
Okay, so Would there be interest? Is anyone asking in the chat maybe about how to do this, or what are the questions in the chat? You want to open it up?
Yeah,
Okay.
There's some questions in the chat.
Okay,
So
sure.
are you ready for a discussion session so that I can tell everyone that this is a discussion session? Okay. Jadi Bapak Ibu, thank you very much Raziel for your time and enlightening tutorial for the Nearpod. Right now we are moving on into the discussion session with Mr. Raziel Lizarraga, PSC. Right now we are going into the discussion session. So everyone, please kindly ask your question into the chat. Or if you would like to ask the questions directly to Raziel.
I see a question here from...
Yeah, there are several questions, some of them in Bahasa Indonesia. I will try to translate it.
Okay. I have one here.
Okay. Yeah, do you want me to read it out for you, please?
Of course.
Sir? Okay. From Ahmad Rafi'i SPDMSI. Is there any requirements to get the simulations? The first one, he got the questions, okay. And the second question is that one of the shortcomings in Indonesia is the signal. So if the students is in the area with a poor internet signal, is the Nearpod have a solution, or do you think the Nearpod will need a lot or a very high Wi-Fi connection?
I will answer the last question about the internet.
Okay.
Okay. So Nearpod has an instructor-paced presentation like the ones that we did, and they also have a student-paced lesson, meaning the same lesson that we did, you can go ahead and click on student-paced where it will give them a link. You can put it into Google Classroom and they can work on it whenever they want.
So it's not live?
So it does not have to be live.
Okay, great. Jadi Bapak Ahmad Rafi'i ada solusinya dari Nearpod, yaitu bisa kita bisa men-share link dari lesson kita kepada student tadi, jadi tidak harus live. Kalau misalnya Nearpod yang diparagakan oleh Raziel tadi, kita melakukannya live, karena itu mungkin takutnya ketika di tengah-tengah internetnya off atau ada gangguan, maka akan sulit. Maka solusinya adalah Raziel atau Bapak Ibu Guru juga bisa meng-share link dari lesson tersebut dan bisa di-share melalui misalnya WhatsApp atau Google Classroom. You can also share the link through the WhatsApp as well, right?
Correct. They will give you a link and you can send it to your email and then put it into your WhatsApp. It is very, very, very accessible.
Okay, jadi bisa di-share lewat email dan lain-lainnya juga. Okay, how about the first question, Raziel? Is there any certain requirement to get the simulations of the lessons?
So I believe it's about the simulations with the water molecules, correct?
Yeah, I think.
Okay, well, there are no requirements. So Nearpod is free. Their only limitation is that you have, I think, 100 megabytes of storage before you have to delete a few lessons. But if you only want the free version, that's okay, because I showed you can download all of your reports and then get rid of the lesson, make a new one. Now, the simulations, again, they are part of Nearpod. There is no requirements. There is also the University of Colorado website that has those simulations for free. So Nearpod is free with the simulations and free on the Colorado University website.
Oke, jadi Bapak Ibu sudah terjawab bahwa aplikasi ini adalah free dan juga untuk simulasinya dari University of Colorado PHET tadi itu juga free. Namun Nearpod juga menawarkan yang berbayar untuk yang lebih advance ya, tapi yang sudah dilakukan atau didemokan oleh Raziel tadi itu adalah yang free. Okay, Raziel, move on into the next question. From Davana Villa, he's a student of biology education in Wali Songo University. Can Nearpod app can be used in Bahasa? And is there any difficulties to operate that? And lastly, she asked, if there's a student who's cheating in the test, would the teacher know about that through the Nearpod app?
Okay, so Nearpod is meant for teaching. It is not meant for maybe an
Assessment.
exam and assessment. That type of assessments, I use Google Forms, and I use well, actually, I think I just use Google Forms because they have a plagiarism check, an originality check, and I can grade by question. So when I grade by question, I can definitely see which questions was copied from what other person, and if they maybe cheated off of a website, it will give me a direct link to that website on
That
Google
will be
Forms.
for the next tutorial some other time.
Yeah, yeah. That will be the next one.
Okay, jadi ya, so Dava Navila, aplikasi ini bukan dipakai untuk assessment atau penilaian. Jadi hanya dipakai untuk mengecek apakah student kita masih bersama kita, atau yang dinamakan dalam bahasa Inggris adalah student engagement. Raziel mempunyai tips-tips lain untuk mengecek student yang cheating. So Raziel, maybe everyone can also contact you via email, or maybe we can also conduct our own webinar later on regarding the tutorial of the student assessment, right?
Let's do it.
Yeah, okay, great. And another question is from Maria Immaculata de Nancy Sanbein, SPD. This application for me is very interactive and fun, and very suitable for the science lessons. But is there any tutorial for this app? And what do we need? What are the list of what we need to conduct this application for our classes?
Okay, there are tutorials on how to make Nearpod slides. They're on YouTube. You can just hit Nearpod tutorials and it'll show you. But if you are already familiarized with maybe a PPT or Google Slides, then Nearpod will be maybe the same experience.
Okay, great. Ya, jadi di Nearpod ini ada tutorialnya. Di YouTube juga ada banyak tutorialnya. Kalau kita sudah familiar dengan PPT atau Google Slides atau PowerPoint atau PPT tadi ya sudah disebutkan, maka insya Allah akan bisa menggunakan Nearpod ini dengan mudah. Okay, Raziel, I think I skipped one question from Dava Navila. Yeah, she asked if Nearpod is available in Bahasa Indonesia as well.
I'm not positive about that. I would have to research that and maybe get back to you on that response, because I'm not sure if it's available in Bahasa.
Ya, Raziel harus mengecek dulu apakah Nearpod ini available untuk Bahasa Indonesia. Okay, there's another question from Naili. Thank you for showing us that presentation is very insightful, Mr. Raziel. My question is, how can you try to maintain the time flexibility of the students in the pandemic, which is not on schedule? First question. And the second one, how can you fix the mental health so that every lesson can still be fun for the students?
Okay, so schedule and mental health. Okay. Well, I don't know how the scheduling is maybe for your city, but there are different schedules here in the United States, specifically for our city. We have schools who, have maybe 40-minute, 35-minute classes, and we have other schools that do 45 or 50-minute classes, but they are synchronous, meaning I sit in front of a computer and I have my 6 classes in a row as I teach. So the flexibility of schedule, I do have that. So for example, for Nearpod, if I see that we're not going to finish, that's okay. We will continue tomorrow because it is saved. Do I worry about the mental health of my students? Absolutely. I try to make it as engaging as we did today. Nearpod makes it very easy to make it interactive. Now, it is a lot of, small assessments here and there, but I believe that as long as it's interactive, the mental health, should be kept maybe in check.
Yeah.
I do like to check in with them once in a while. Mhm.
Okay, so you can continue your lessons in some other day.
Oh, well, I do have that flexibility, yes.
Oke, jadi untuk menghadapi waktu yang kurang fleksibel dalam pandemik ini, jadi nirpot ini apabila di tengah-tengah misalnya belum selesai nih lessonnya, maka bisa dilanjutkan di lain hari. Itu juga bisa dilakukan. Dan juga mental health juga memang sangat penting, seperti yang Raziel bilang, dia masih selalu mencoba untuk menjaga agar studinya tetap merasa fun atau menyenangkan dalam setiap lesson. Karena ya itu adalah salah satu PR kita ya sebagai guru. And Raziel, we have another question. I think this is a good question from Adelia Ershanti.
Okay.
She's from the biology education. She asked, is this application can be used between students and students? So not only teachers to students, for example, to discuss regarding the material.
Oh, can they use the Nearpod together?
Yes. I mean, from students to students, so not only the teacher to students engagement. So it's like between their classmates.
Oh, maybe like if I put 3 students together, can they work on it?
Yeah. So yeah, she asked if is this Nearpod can make the students to do the interaction between students to discuss the material.
Yes.
Or you have to do it in different app.
Oh, I see. So can 3 students be on the same Nearpod?
Okay, not 3 students. What she asked is that can Nearpod facilitate between students? So if maybe I'm your students, another friend is your students, we would like to interact through the Nearpod, maybe chat between students or whatever.
I see. Yes. Okay. So they can definitely do that. They, Nearpod is open to the public, so they can have their own account if they want and do it that way.
But can you do it like they chat between each other in the Nearpod?
So, can they chat with each other?
Yes, or interact with each other, like chatting through like
there's no
WhatsApp platform, but in Nearpod. So there's no between students.
I see,
so it's only teacher to students, right?
Right. It's only a teacher. I see. Like in Zoom, like we're having it. Okay, no.
Yeah.
There is no student to student chat in Nearpod when that happens. So everything that they respond to is you're the only one that sees it. They cannot contact anyone else.
Oke. Jadi untuk Nearpod ini engagementnya atau hubungannya adalah antara guru ke student. Jadi bukan student dengan student. Hal itu untuk menjaga agar lesson plan dari gurunya itu bisa dijalankan sesuai jadwal. Jadi intinya belum bisa untuk Nearpod. Okay, one more question from Kismun Tofia.
Okay.
She or he asked, what kind of adaptation other than the learning material that needs to be implemented into the online learning?
Adaptations for what?
For the online learning. So you give us the solution, the adaptation for the distance learning using this material. And she asked, is there any other adaptation that we need to adapt into this distance learning? For example, if there's any, if there's none, then there's
so to my understanding, maybe let me see if I understood the question. Are there other
other aspects that needs to be adapted other than material, integrating the material for the distance learning? For example, you have to also adapt to maintain your relations with the students' parents, or what else?
Oh, okay. So the students' parents, what I like to do is I incorporate all of my lesson plans. We have, the grade book. I don't know if that's what you guys have, but we have our own grade books for the school, and I like to incorporate all of my links so that parents can go look at it. Not only that, I incorporate all of my lesson plans a week in advance into Google Classroom, and students and parents can access Google Classroom and look at these Nearpods 1 week in advance if they want to prepare. So that adaptation of trying to communicate with parents, Google Classroom has a guardian email that you can just invite them, and if a parent wants to see every week report, they can.
Yeah, so the adaptation is not only in lessons, but also in your relations to their parents as well.
Correct.
Right? So you have to adapt.
Yes.
Okay.
And that is...
Let me translate it. Let me translate. Jadi adaptasinya tidak hanya adaptasi untuk mengatasi atau untuk melakukan online learning atau distance learning ini adalah adaptasi juga dengan orang tua dari siswa. Jadi yang sebelumnya ketika kita bisa bertemu face to face itu akan lebih mudah untuk mengkomunikasikan keadaan siswanya, maka sekarang kita harus melakukan pendataan yang lebih banyak. Jadi kita bisa melaporkan ke orang tua murid dengan lebih terintegrasi seperti itu. Okay, Raziel, I think that's all from all of the discussion, or maybe you can share us your email so that everyone who would like to contact you can do it by email.
Yes. So, wasn't it on your slide? Let me see.
Yes, it's the Gmail one, but do you want it to share another email?
Well, if we want to do another training, we can do another training. So I think if you want to prepare another one, we can do that.
Okay. Jadi jika suatu saat nanti ada training lagi dengan Raziel, maka kita bisa melakukan training. So if you really want to contact Raziel, you can contact the committee, and then we will be happy to share email contact of the Raziel. Okay. Thank you very much, Raziel.
Of course.
Because of the time limitation, and right now it's midnight, more than midnight in the morning in the US, and you have to teach maybe.
Yes, I do. Maybe.
Yeah, you have to teach. So I think your sessions needs to be ended right now.
Perfectly.
And thank you very much for everything.
Thank you,
I
Ms.
hope we
Sarah.
can see you again in the future, Mr. Raziel.
I would gladly do so if you will have me. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye, Mr. Raziel.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah. Everyone. Hi, everyone. Right now, Mr. Raziel has already been finished with his material, and we will move on into the next speaker, Mr. Lee Watson. Are you here?
I am here, yes.
You're there. Okay. Mr. Lee James Watson would like to share some material to us, and please allow me to share some content to show the profile of Lee Watson, MSc. Yeah. So, can you see my screen? Okay. This is the keynote speaker 2, Lee James Watson, Master of Science. He will share about using biology skill in alternative career and the effects of COVID-19 in UK working life. So this is Mr. Lee James Watson, Master of Science. His email is ljwatson96@gmail.com. He's graduate in MSc in Newcastle University in the program of Industrial and Commercial Biotechnology. And in 2009 until 2012, he got his Bachelor of Science in Biology in honors, means that he's one of the best student in the class in Newcastle University. And right now, he is a QA laboratory inspector in the Envision AESC UK Limited, formerly Nissan Motor Battery Plant in Sunderland. This is Newcastle University, where Lee and I take our master degree together. And this is the Newcastle upon Tyne, the city where Lee lived, right? Newcastle is one of the most beautiful city in England, and yeah, Newcastle University also one of the best university in England, and this is the Russell Group, the list of 20 best university in the United Kingdom. So, Lee Watson, can you please share your screen and the material? Yeah, I'm gonna finish my screen first. Okay. If Brazil comes from United States, we give you Lee Watson from United Kingdom. What time is it over there, Lee?
It is 7:37 in the morning.
7:37 in the morning. Okay.
Yeah, so I woke up at about 5 a.m. to get ready.
Oh my,
okay?
Thank you very much, Lee. Ya, jadi
No problem.
Lee, jadi Lee bangun jam 5. Jadi di UK itu pada musim gugur jam 5 itu sudah sangat early sekali ya. Dan sekarang adalah jam 7 pagi di Inggris. Jadi untuk ukuran orang Inggris itu sangat pagi. Jika Raziel sangat malam hingga tengah malam, Lee di Inggris itu sangat pagi. Okay, move on, Lee.
Okay, so going to break the presentation into two parts. So first off, we'll talk about using skills gained from biology degrees in different careers. And then we'll go on to how the pandemic has affected the working life in the UK and adaptations we have to make in the lab to overcome this. So we've already seen this bit.
Before that, Lee, can you give me a few seconds so that I can translate it to the participants?
Yes.
Yeah, from the previous slides.
Sorry.
The previous slide. Oke, jadi Lee akan membagi speech-nya dalam dua bagian atau dua part. Part pertama adalah bagaimana dia menggunakan skill-skill yang didapatkan dalam ilmu biologinya sebagai skill yang bisa digunakan di karir atau pekerjaan alternatif. Jadi dia akan menjelaskan bagaimana skill biologinya itu sangat bermanfaat untuk karir di luar biologi. Dan juga yang part kedua adalah dia akan menceritakan bagaimana COVID-19 ini efeknya ke working life atau kehidupan pekerjaan yang ada di UK. Okay, move on.
Okay, so you've already shown off my background. This is a little bit about the company I work for. So we make lithium batteries to go into electric cars and for energy storage from solar energy and wind energy and that sort of thing.
So it's like a big power bank?
Yeah, basically. So on the picture on the left here is all these metal bits are the batteries inside a big case, which will go inside of the car. Or if you want to power your house, you can put it in a house or in a factory, and then you can connect solar panels to get energy to charge batteries. So then during the night, you can still have electricity.
Wait, okay, let me translate. Jadi ini adalah penampang dari kantornya Lee. Okay, sorry, let me mute the participant. Okay. Jadi ini adalah penampang dari kantornya Lee. Dia membuat bateri. Jadi basicnya adalah chemistry atau kimia ya. Jadi bateri yang dibuat oleh perusahaannya Lee ini bisa dijadikan sebagai bateri untuk mobil elektrik atau mobil listrik dan juga untuk rumah apabila jadi semacam genset ya atau power bank yang besar. Oke, move on. Ya, Lee.
So I was still muted. Had to find the button. So obviously I've come from biology background. How can a biologist end up working in a chemistry lab? So just a few little sort of adaptations, the skills you'll gain and how you can move those into a chemistry lab. So often living systems come up with better solutions to problems than what man can come up with. So for example, my research at undergraduate was into using algae and non-food plants as fuel. So while fossil fuels have been a huge energy source since the Industrial Revolution, they're running out. They give off bad emissions. So instead of using man-made fuels, we can take it from the environment around us, grow plants, and use those instead. They're much easier to replenish. And as a second example, producing new medication, man-made medication is expensive, it's difficult. However, bacteria, microorganisms produce antimicrobial compounds themselves to fight off their rivals. And that's a much easier, much quicker way of doing it. Evolution produces things much better than we can. And that formed the basis for my MSc research, looking for new antimicrobial compounds from bacteria to help us overcome antibiotic resistance.
Oke, jadi skill biology yang sudah didapatkan oleh Lee itu bisa memberikan kita pemahaman bahwa kita bisa membuat solusi untuk setiap permasalahan yang terjadi pada manusia. Jadi contohnya adalah misalnya apabila gasoline atau bensin dan bahan bakar lainnya bisa diberikan alternatif berasal dari makhluk hidup atau biofuel. Dan contoh yang kedua adalah ketika manusia bisa memproduksi obat-obatan yang baru secara sintetis dari hal-hal lain yang mungkin belum pernah ditemukan sebelumnya. Jadi skill biologi yang didapatkan oleh Lee dan juga Bapak Ibu di sini dan teman-teman di sini yang sedang mendapatkan biologi adalah skill untuk memberikan suatu alternatif atau solusi terhadap segala apapun permasalahan yang kita temukan. Okay, move on, Lee.
Okay. So the kinds of skills gained on a biology course that are useful in other applications. So from a biology degree, you will gain problem solving, logical reasoning skills. As you go through research, looking at papers, being asked difficult questions in exams and that sort of thing, you'll learn the skills to come up with solutions and how to back those solutions up. So that applies at Envision because things often go wrong in the lab. You know, you can get machines breaking, you might get a test that comes back negative, maybe there's a problem somewhere with one of the batteries and you need to find the solution. So being able to apply these skills to the workplace, that translates across any discipline, be it biology, chemistry, or whatever.
Let me translate for your first point. Ya, jadi poin yang atau skill yang kita dapatkan di biologi adalah problem solving, seperti yang tadi sudah diceritakan, mencarikan solusi untuk segala permasalahan dan juga logical reasoning. Logical reasoning itu berpikir secara logis. Orang-orang yang belajar biologi maka akan terbiasa untuk mencoba menjawab pertanyaan-pertanyaan yang sangat sulit mengenai segala apapun yang terjadi di sekitar kita. Maka kita bisa mendevelop atau mengembangkan skill untuk menjawab pertanyaan sulit tersebut di lab, bahkan di lab yang di luar biologi. Contohnya pada Lee, di Envision AASC, jadi banyak hal yang bisa salah di lab. Misalnya mesin bisa rusak, terus hasil tes yang harusnya positif jadi negatif, maka kita sebagai orang yang di biologi akan sudah terbiasa jika hal-hal tersebut kita alami dan kita juga sudah terbiasa untuk mencari solusinya. Okay, move on.
Okay, so throughout biology courses, you'll learn, try my words again, statistical analysis, mathematics, so you can back up any claims that you have. So it's not enough to do an experiment and say that worked. You have to be able to prove it with the numbers, with the stats. So at Envision, again, we'll test new materials to try and improve the batteries. So when we go to our bosses, the management, and we go, this is a better material, we need to have stats to back that up.
Oke. Jadi skill lain yang sudah kita pelajari dalam bidang biologi adalah skill analisis atau statistik. Jadi kita harus bisa menemukan data yang mensupport klaim kita dan juga bukti-bukti statistik lainnya. Jadi ketika bekerja di bidang di luar biologi, contohnya Lee tadi, banyak terjadi trial atau percobaan produk baru yang harus dibantu atau disupport oleh data yang kuat. Itu adalah salah satu skill dari biologi yang bisa kita terapkan di bidang lainnya. Move on, Lee.
Okay, so communication skills that you'll gain. So while you study biology, colleagues that you meet and your lecturers are very important to your development. So you working together on projects, maybe if you struggle with a piece of work that you're doing, going to your colleagues, asking for help, sharing research, coming up with new ideas together is a valuable skill that you'll learn throughout the course. And that's important going into the working place. Within a factory like ours at Envision, you've got lots of different departments. Everybody has different skills, different backgrounds, but we all try to achieve the same goal. So we need to learn how to communicate between each other, to explain things to somebody who maybe doesn't understand what's going on in our lab, for example, just to meet the same end goal of bringing out these new batteries to the world.
Ya, oke. Jadi skill lain yang kita dapatkan di biologi adalah skill komunikasi, karena teman-teman dan Bapak Ibu di sini pasti tahu ketika belajar di prodi biology, maka kita akan terbiasa untuk bekerja sama dan saling berdiskusi dan bertanya dengan teman-teman yang ada di dalam lab kita. Itu adalah salah satu skill yang sangat penting yang akan bisa kita gunakan di bidang lainnya di luar biology. Okay, move on.
Yeah, and then the last little quick section is knowledge of chemical processes. If you study biology, one of the things you'll often come across is biochemistry, how cells work, how chemical reactions going on within cells, within the body. And that's a universal language. That chemistry will translate to any other scientific lab. So what you learn there can be applied everywhere.
Oke. Jadi dari biologi kita akan bisa mengetahui mengenai proses-proses secara kimiawi. Pasti di sini ada Bapak Ibu atau adik-adik yang sudah mengambil mata kuliah biochemistry. Jadi chemistry itu menurut Lee adalah bahasa yang universal, along with biology ya, bersama dengan biology. Jadi selama kita menguasai biology dan juga chemistry, maka kita akan bisa bekerja di bidang manapun juga di luar biology. Okay, Lee.
Okay, so specifically to lab skills, when you work in biology labs, especially when it comes to thesis research, you'll have hands-on experience with certain bits of equipment. And some of the things that you find in our chemistry lab, we have I've given pictures of 3 of the machines that you'll come across in my lab that you might see in a biology lab. So we've got the HPLC machine on the left here, and that is used to detect different compounds in a mixture. So if you've got a liquid and you don't know what it is, you can run it through this machine and it'll tell you what it is. The ICP here is it's similar. Basically, you'll put your liquid through a plasma flame, and again that'll tell you what it is that you've got in the liquid. And then we've got the electron microscope here that we use if we have some contamination on a battery, or if there's a broken part, we can look at it under the microscope and get a closer idea of what's going on there, same as you would with cell imagery. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but we do it with batteries instead.
Oke. Jadi skill lain yang bisa teman-teman atau Bapak Ibu dapatkan apabila mempelajari biologi adalah skill laboratory atau skill di lab. Jadi kita akan punya kemampuan untuk mengembangkan keahlian kita dalam bidang biologi, tapi bisa diterapkan di bidang lainnya. Ini adalah contoh-contoh yang beberapa mesin yang sering kita dapatkan di lab biologi ternyata juga ada di lab Envision ASSC atau lab chemistry. Jadi yang pertama adalah mesin HPLC, yang kedua adalah mesin ICP-MS, dan juga mesin, ini yang menarik ya, mesin elektron, mikroskop elektron. Jadi kalau misalnya di biologi kita menggunakan mikroskop elektron atau SEM atau SEM ini untuk mengamati sel, maka di perusahaannya Lee dia menggunakannya untuk mengamati apakah ada kebocoran di partikel-partikel bateri atau power bank, the big power bank that you were talking to us. If there's any leak in the power bank or the battery, right? You use the electron microscope.
Yeah, or any like if any metal that isn't meant to be there, things like that. Yeah.
Apabila ada kontaminasi sekecil apapun di benda-benda yang harus diamati, maka bisa diamati melalui mikroskop elektron. Itu adalah skill yang kita dapatkan di biologi dan bisa diterapkan di bidang lain. Oke, Lee?
Okay, so how did I end up doing this job instead of a biology job? So as Tara said earlier on, Newcastle's in the northeast of England, and I've just got a map here to show how rich and how poor different parts of the UK are. So we're in this circle here where everything is lit up red. So it's one of the poorer parts of the UK, unfortunately. So sometimes jobs can be quite difficult to find in this area. And with having good universities like Newcastle, Durham is quite close as well. It means that competition for these jobs is very high. So there are a few biology companies in the area doing medicines and soil tests and things like that. But again, there's not very many. So I had to look around, come up with new ideas for places where I could work. And this battery plant opened close by to help with Nissan's cars at the time. And I saw that my skills matched up well with their job description. So I put an application in. They looked at my resume and they said, yeah, we'll give this guy a go because he's got a good set of skills from labs that he can use here.
Yeah. Oke, jadi di sini Lee sedikit bercerita bagaimana dia dari degree biology bisa masuk ke Nissan Motor. Jadi perusahaan Lee itu dulunya adalah Nissan Motor. Jadi yang terjadi di Indonesia juga bisa terjadi di negara lain, bahkan di negara yang kaya seperti United Kingdom. Jadi Lee menceritakan bahwa kompetisi untuk mendapatkan karir yang sesuai dengan degree kita itu juga tinggi di UK, apalagi di area Newcastle itu banyak atau ada saingan universitas lain yang sama-sama bagusnya, namanya Durham University. Jadi itu hanya setengah jam atau 1 jam dari Newcastle, dua-duanya itu adalah universitas paling bagus di Inggris. Jadi kalau lulusan sana dengan nilai yang sangat baik, kompetisinya juga sangat tinggi. Jadi terjadi juga ya di luar negeri, bahkan di Indonesia juga ada. Karena itu, karena Lee sudah menjalankan prosesi lab atau skill lab-nya di biology sangat bagus, maka pihak Nissan Motor atau Envision UK akhirnya mempercayakan Lee bahwa dia bisa menjadi staff-nya, bahkan ketika Lee bukan dari bidang kimia. Yang diambil malah orang yang dari biology karena mereka sudah tahu orang-orang biology itu pasti lab skill-nya sudah sangat mumpuni. Oke, Lee?
Okay. So we're moving into the second section now and how COVID-19 has impacted our lab and what we've had to do to work through the pandemic.
Ya, jadi sekarang kita akan move on ke sesi yang kedua, bagaimana Lee menceritakan COVID-19 mempengaruhi pekerjaan di labnya. Okay.
Right, so just a quick timetable of how things have happened in the UK. Back at the end of January, we had our first 2 cases in the UK of COVID-19. And then went through March. There wasn't a great deal happening to us. We thought, oh, it's quite safe, we'll be okay. But things through March sped up quite quickly. Middle of March here on the 14th, we had an issue with panic buying. People were going to shops and just buying everything, getting ready to lock down, taking all the non-perishable food, tinned foods, things like that. And eventually we hit full lockdown at the end of March on the 23rd, which meant everything had to shut down apart from essentials.
Oke, let me try to translate. Jadi Lee memberikan background sedikit mengenai apa yang terjadi di UK pada masa pandemi ini. Jadi pada akhir Januari terdapat atau tercatat 2 kasus positif COVID-19. Dan pada awal Maret, government UK sudah memperingatkan orang-orang bahwa kemungkinan di dunia kerja harus ada yang absen karena virus akan mencapai puncaknya. Lalu pada tanggal 5 Maret akhirnya kasus-kasus di UK sudah mencapai sekitar 100 orang dan terdapat pencatatan 1 orang meninggal di UK. Dan pada pertengahan Maret ada kejadian panic buying ya di UK. Jadi orang-orang tuh sudah panik, mereka sudah mengira akan terjadi mungkin apokalips atau apa. Akhirnya terjadi panic buying untuk membeli bahan-bahan yang bisa di stok di rumah. Dan pada tanggal 16 Maret, travel atau bepergian yang kurang penting atau non-esensial itu tidak dianjurkan. Dan pada akhir Maret, tanggal 23, akhirnya UK masuk ke full lockdown. Okay, move on.
Okay. So when the UK locked down fully, so did Envision. All but a few of our workers were told to go home on the 27th of March and were told, we don't know when you're going to come back, basically. We're just going to stay off until the government tells us we're allowed to go back to work. And to make sure we could afford food and to pay rent and things like that, the government gave us what's called a furlough scheme, which is government subsidies, to help pay 80% of our salary, and the company paid the remaining 20% out of their own pocket.
Oke. Jadi akhirnya Envision UK ini mengalami lockdown juga dikarenakan kasus corona yang semakin meninggi, dan government di UK menerapkan subsidi yang namanya furlough leave atau subsidi untuk membantu agar masyarakat UK tetap bisa membeli makanan sehari-hari. Okay, next.
Okay. Now, eventually, we were told in late May that we would return to work ready for June. So to get ready for production starting again, lab staff had to come back to work slightly earlier. We returned on the 18th of May because we had to check all the machinery, make sure that all of our old materials hadn't degraded over time, so that we could ensure that everything we built was up to the quality standard that we expect from Envision.
Oke. Jadi akhirnya setelah full lockdown pada awal Juni, perusahaan-perusahaan UK harus sudah meminta masyarakatnya untuk kembali bekerja. Salah satu alasannya adalah karena di sana itu perekonomian juga tetap harus berjalan ya. Karena untuk menjembatani antara kesehatan orang-orang dan juga perekonomian, maka harus dilakukan protokol kesehatan yang harus diterapkan di UK. Okay, will you also give us the insight about the health protocol needed when you go back to the...
That's the next slide.
Great. Yeah.
You ready to carry on? Or?
Can you carry on?
So here's our health protocol. When everybody came back to work, they were given this document here. So wearing of face masks was made mandatory everywhere in the factory. At all, other than when you were eating food, you would be at your own table distance, then you could take your mask off. But every other time working, masks on.
Okay, before that, Lee. Is the new normal also? Oh, sorry. Can you skip into? Yeah. Okay. We will try to do things like point per point. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you use the term new normal as well in the UK?
Yes. It's not something that the government have been using, but our company has been as a way to keep people calmer. So this is the new normal. This is what to expect all the time now.
Oke, jadi di UK akhirnya juga mengalami new normal yang harus dikomunikasikan ke staff sebelum kembali ke kerja. Dunia kerja yang pertama adalah harus memakai face mask di dalam gedung. So the face mask is very mandatory, right?
Yes, all the time, and that's.
Is there anybody who opened their mask?
Not at work. In public, there's been some sort of complaints and protests about it, but at work, it's a company rule. So if you break it, then you can be fired.
Okay. Jadi you just need to do it. Jadi dalam kampanye di Inggris itu sangat disiplin ya, apalagi di perusahaan. Kalau perusahaan sudah memberikan sudah memberikan perintah untuk menggunakan masker all the time, maka itu yang harus dilakukan. Sanksinya adalah bisa pemecatan karena perusahaan-perusahaan UK ini sangat disiplin. Okay, how about the second one? Assume everyone.
Yeah, so to ensure that you're completely safe, we're told to treat everybody as though they are infected, basically, even though they're not. You got to put it in your head, maybe they could be, so that your mentality changes. So you've got to be respectful in that, but it means that you've got to, if you're working next to somebody on the same machine, you've got to think, if they are infected and I'm standing too close, then I could catch it. So I've got to be safe. I've got to act as though they've got it all the time.
Oke. Jadi yang kedua adalah kita harus mengasumsikan bahwa semua orang yang ada di gedung tersebut, ada di perusahaan tersebut memiliki virusnya, sehingga akan mengubah mental kita bahwa kita harus mempraktikkan social distancing at all times, di setiap waktu. So is there anything happen, for example, if some co-workers are being close to each other and not doing the social distancing protocol? Has it happened too?
Yeah, sometimes you can't avoid it because especially maintenance people repairing machines, some of these machines are very small.
But
so
you have
what
to
we
try
do,
to implement it all times.
Yeah, so around the factory, it doesn't say on this slide, but there's a one-way policy in place. So all corridors, you're only allowed to walk in a certain direction, and that's to stop people crossing over in the corridor.
Oke. Bahkan di koridor-koridornya juga harus sangat disiplin sekali ya. Akan ada aturan di mana dalam satu koridor ini harus dilalui oleh satu orang saja dan satu arah saja. Jadi tidak boleh ada dua arah dalam satu koridor. Oke, next.
So treat everyone with respect and patience. The idea there is these rules are very different to how we're used to working. And if everybody gets frustrated or angry about it, it just makes things that much harder, makes things more difficult. So because we're all one team, the idea is be respectful, take your time. It's better to do things slowly and get it right than to rush, make a mistake, and cause infections in the factory.
Okay, so you try to maintain the stress level of each co-workers.
Yes, exactly. Because stress just makes it worse, especially with lockdowns. Mental health is very important. So being patient and respectful helps to avoid the problems on the mental side of things.
Oke. Jadi ini yang menarik ya. Jadi di perusahaannya Lee ada satu aturan untuk menjaga kesehatan mental tiap pekerja, yaitu treat everyone with respect. Kita harus bisa menghormati dan menghormati orang-orang di sekitar kita, dan kita harus bisa sabar dengan satu sama lain, sehingga yang paling penting adalah kita bisa menjaga agar masing-masing teman kita dan diri kita itu tidak stres, karena stres itu bisa mengganggu atau bisa memperparah immunity, kekebalan tubuh kita. Jadi itu adalah salah satu rule yang lumayan unik ya. Kalau di Indonesia saya nggak tahu apakah ada rule untuk saling sabar dengan sesama, rule untuk saling respect atau menghormati agar saling menjaga kesehatan mental masing-masing. Okay, next.
Okay, so it says here, remember to bring your health assessment document. So every employee has to do a questionnaire which has symptoms on it that could be indicative of COVID-19. So we have to do a temperature check before the start of work. If you have any new cough, the change in your taste, all those sorts of things. If you have to answer no if you've got no symptoms, and then you're allowed to come into work if you can provide this document. If you answer yes to anything, you have to stay at home and go and get a COVID test before coming in. Nobody's allowed to enter if they say yes to the questions.
Okay, so the self-assessment is every single day?
Yes.
Okay. Jadi kita harus membawa health self-assessment atau semacam formulir yang diisi. Jika di formulir tersebut tertulis bahwa kita sedang batuk atau kita sedang demam, maka kita tidak diperbolehkan untuk masuk. Dan itu dilakukan every single day, setiap hari. Okay, next.
Okay, so we were told that we're not allowed to use any surfaces in rest areas where contact is frequent, so microwaves, refrigerators, vending machines, things like that. You're told basically bring cold food in, nothing that you have to cook in your break room to avoid cross-contamination. You're the only person that touches your food and your eating supplies.
Okay, water fountains is disabled as well.
Yes, that it's in red because at the time, this is an old document, they weren't sure if we needed to, and then people said, well, yeah, because you're putting your mouth near it and you're breathing on it.
How do you make sure everyone has their own drink?
They have to bring drinks in with them.
Oke, jadi rule berikutnya adalah pekerja harus ingat untuk membawa cold lunch. Cold lunch itu adalah makan siang yang sifatnya dingin ya, seperti roti dan lain-lain setiap hari. Barang-barang yang biasanya digunakan ketika kita makan siang seperti microwave, kulkas, toaster, dan juga mesin penjual itu tidak akan bisa available. Termasuk water fountains atau pancuran air untuk minum bersama juga tidak diperbolehkan diakses bersama-sama. Okay, move on.
Okay. So lots of people like to use the gym before work or to cycle to work and that kind of thing. So they would come into work and they'd use changing rooms to get dressed into their uniform before work. We were told, and still are, that's not permitted. You have to come into work already wearing a uniform and ready to go straight to the job, because changing rooms and locker areas are close together and there's lots of risk of passing the virus on between people in those areas.
Okay, so we have to work in uniform. Okay, how many uniforms do you have, Lee? I mean, is it one for each day or?
One for each day, yeah. So just to keep everything clear, especially working in a lab because of chemicals and that sort of thing. But this point was more aimed at people who go to the gymnasium and who travel to work on their bike, who have to wear different clothes to come to work and then get changed. It's just to stop people using the changing rooms.
Oke. Jadi kita harus membawa uniform juga atau seragam, dan apabila para pekerja yang datang memakai sepeda atau lari ke tempat kerja, maka harus ingat bahwa shower atau tempat mandi, biasanya di UK ada tempat mandi khusus untuk pekerja yang berkeringat ingin mandi, itu juga akan di-close. Okay. Next.
Okay, so lots of people travel to work together. Prior to the pandemic they did, and now we're told you can't share cars with people because in a car you're sat quite close together, so you can pass the virus between each other. And also they said that they were going to start staggering start times. So normally everyone would turn up to work at the same time. Now they say some people come 10 minutes earlier, some people come 10 minutes later, and that's just to make sure there are fewer people traveling through the door at the same time. It also makes it easier to do temperature checks at the doorway, where a member of staff will give you a temperature gun to check your own temperature.
Okay, so car sharing is prohibited. How about the public buses?
They are, when we first came back, they weren't. Basically, people who had to use public transport were kept on furlough leave at first. Then the government said you were allowed to use buses as long as you wear a mask and as long as you stay distant on the bus. So now people on public transport can, but they just have to be more careful.
Not car sharing.
No car sharing, no.
Oke, jadi yang mau pergi ke tempat kerja tidak boleh sharing mobil bersama-sama, itu sangat dilarang karena untuk meminimalisir dari penyebaran virus ini. Have you explained the shift and break timings?
Briefly, it's not too important, that part. That is just
okay.
everyone was told to start their shift at a certain time, finish at a certain time, and take their breaks at a certain time. And the idea behind that was to make sure people are taking breaks at different times so they don't come into contact with each other. So one person might have a break. Normally they would take it at 8:45. Now they would be told, no, take it at 8:30, so somebody else can come at 8:45, and we
Okay, great.
spread out in the break room more. So because we have less tables now, we used to have one big table, but now because people have to social distance, you can't fit as many people in at the same time.
Okay, thank you, Lee. Can you? Okay, I will translate it. Jadi juga ada semacam mekanisme shift and break timings. Jadi orang akan bekerja shift-shiftan yang tadinya misalnya 20 orang bersamaan dalam satu waktu, maka juga diatur secara shift-shiftan di UK, di kantornya Lee. Okay, next.
Okay, how are we doing for time?
We're pretty good.
Okay.
If you're ready, okay, I will try to say to everyone. So everyone, if you have any question for Lee, please kindly left the message into the chat room. You can do the message or type the message in English or in Bahasa Indonesia, and we will try to help you to translate it to Lee in the discussion session.
Okay. So this is a picture here of an example of the kinds of things we've put up on the walls around the factory to make sure people are reminded of the rules. So obviously, when it comes to teaching, everything is done over Zoom. It's done remote. In work, you can't do that. You can't in a lab. You can't work from home. You have to come into the lab to use the machines. So we've been told if we need to have a meeting, no more than 6 people can be in a given meeting room to make sure you can distance apart. Anybody breaking these rules again will be disciplined. Normally your first offense, you'll get warned, then you'll get official discipline, and then if you keep doing it, that's when you can lose your job.
Oke. Jadi meeting juga bisa dilakukan kadang-kadang, tapi dengan protokol yang sangat ketat. Jadi tidak boleh ada lebih dari 6 orang yang ada di ruangan saat meeting. How many is the normal capacity of the building? Of the meeting venue.
I've been in meetings with 20 to 30 people before in the past, before COVID. So sometimes quite a lot of people, especially if you've got 2 departments. So we might have our lab meeting with engineering. 2 big departments come together, you need quite a big meeting room. So to drop down from, say, 20 to 30 people all the way down to 6 people, it's quite difficult.
Oke. Jadi biasanya ada sekitar 20 sampai 30 orang yang ada di ruangan meeting. Tapi ketika COVID-19 ini hanya maksimum harus 6 orang saja. Okay, next.
Okay. So one of the negative impacts of the virus, other than getting ill, is that when we stopped building batteries, it means we weren't selling any batteries. So the company lost quite a bit of money in those 2 months where nobody was able to buy anything. So unfortunately, we had to make the difficult decision to get rid of 130 members of staff we started with nearly 400. So maybe 30-40% of our workforce had to be let go. They were given what's called a redundancy payment. So to help them find another job, they gave them money to say this will last you a couple of months while you're unemployed to help you find another job. But long term, we can't afford to keep paying you, so we need to let you go, is basically what happened there.
Okay, so 130 is let go.
Yeah.
Oke. Jadi di UK juga terjadi kesulitan ya, karena ada penurunan dalam hal permintaan dan penawaran atau demand and supply, maka terpaksa untuk perusahaan-perusahaan besar juga mau tidak mau harus menyelamatkan perekonomian perusahaannya. Jadi ada sekitar di perusahaan Li ada sekitar dari sekitar 400 ada sekitar 130 member yang harus di let go. Di let go itu adalah di PHK ya. Jadi di sana itu nanti akan diberikan semacam kompensasi atau uang untuk member-member yang harus di let go tadi itu agar bisa survive. Okay, next.
Okay, I will say there, because I'm still friends with a lot of these people who got let go, talking to them, most of them have found new jobs, thankfully, because the skills that you gain from this sort of environment, lots of other companies want those skills. So thankfully that translates into other jobs as well. So these people are safe now. Because this was in August that this happened. So we're in October now. They've had time to find new jobs.
Oke, great. Ya, jadi ternyata Li mendapatkan kabar baik dari teman-temannya, dari 130 orang yang di let go oleh perusahaannya Li. Ternyata mereka sudah mendapatkan tempat kerja yang baru di perusahaan lain karena skill mereka sangat-sangat dibutuhkan. Jadi happy ending ya, dari Agustus itu ada 130 orang harus let go, dan di Oktober semua orang yang tadinya di let go atau di PHK itu akhirnya sudah menemukan pekerjaan yang baru. Oke, Li.
Okay. So just this week and last week, we've started to panic a little bit because the COVID cases are going back up again. So they dropped after the lockdown. Now we're getting potentially a second wave. So we're worried now what will happen if we have to lock down again. So these are just some of the news articles just in the past week here, where university students have gone in person. They've been told to go back to university accommodation. So lots of those people are catching the virus because they're all quite close together. Wales, in the west of the UK, has decided to do its own local lockdown, like the one earlier in the year. They've just shut their country down. There's a picture here, the picture you can see here in shops, they're saying in Wales, essential items only are what you can buy. Anything else, they're basically covering over with plastic so nobody can buy it to stop people touching things.
Okay. Okay, great. So, I will try to translate. Jadi, UK sekarang sedang bersiap-siap untuk menghadapi wave yang kedua atau gelombang yang kedua dari COVID-19 ini. Jadi mereka sudah memperkirakan atau mereka mencoba untuk aware atau waspada mengenai gelombang COVID yang kedua. Jadi dari sekarang sudah mulai, misalnya di toko-toko sudah diplastikin barang-barang yang biasanya disentuh oleh orang, maka harus diplastikin untuk mencegah orang menyentuh sesuatu yang mungkin bisa menjadi transmisi penularan virus-virus tersebut. Okay, next.
Okay, and just to bring us to where we are in the Northeast, this here is a news article from Friday, I believe, saying here we might go into what's called Tier 3 lockdown. So the government has introduced on the left here 3 tiers of lockdown to try and avoid what we had earlier in the year where nothing could happen, where nobody could go to work. You've got medium, where you have to, rule of 6 is only 6 people are allowed to meet in one place. And then hospitality businesses like pubs and restaurants have to shut at 10 p.m. Tier 2, which is where Newcastle is now, is no household mixing. So if you live in 2 different houses, you can't meet up. So I can't see my family and things like that.
Okay.
And the worry is that we might have to go to Tier 3 because poorer parts of the country are affected worse by the pandemic, it seems. So we're an at-risk area, as they say. So maybe we might have to go.
So which tier is Newcastle right now?
Right now, we are 2.
Okay. Jadi, jadi di Inggris juga dilakukan semacam tier itu jadi pengelompokan bahwa tier pertama itu adalah resikonya medium di kota tersebut. Jadi contoh yang resikonya medium dalam satu meeting itu hanya ada 6 orang dan restoran restoran tutup jam 10. Ada juga tier yang kedua yaitu high, tier yang lumayan tinggi, household mixing indoors, jadi orang-orang tidak bisa saling berkunjung ke family lainnya. Jadi hanya stay di salah satu tempat. Dan yang tier ketiga yang ditakutkan adalah very very high, jadi akan lebih ketat lagi dari tier yang sebelumnya. Oh ya, Bapak Ibu yang bertanya, kapankah link absensi akan dibagikan? Link absensi akan dibagikan setelah Li selesai untuk menjelaskan materinya. Jadi di sesi diskusi kita akan berdiskusi sekaligus men-sharing link dari absensi untuk meeting hari ini. Oke, Li, move on.
Okay, so currently the big worry for us is, are we going to have another full-scale lockdown? In some of the big cities, like Manchester, which is quite close by, they've been having arguments with the government over whether or not tier 3 is safe for the economy. So businesses are worried, having to, how we had to let 130 people go. Restaurants and pubs, if they close, they'll just fail. They'll just stop being able to work. And the worry for us as a factory. Sorry.
Okay. Is there any prediction when will the second wave be coming in the UK?
We don't know. Is the honest answer there? So
okay, you don't know, but you just prepare for everything, like the UK.
Yeah. So
prepare for the second wave.
Yeah, in September, our health ministers and our high-end health officials were predicting something like 50,000 new cases a day by this point, and that's turned out to be wrong. We're actually a lot lower than that. But so the science behind it, it's difficult to predict. So everything, the uncertainty, the worry is coming from not knowing what to prepare for. So obviously if we had an answer, we could prepare much. We could say this day we need to stop for so many days, but we can't do that.
Oke. Jadi di UK sekarang itu mereka sendiri juga masih belum tahu kapankah kira-kira second wave ini akan datang atau gelombang kedua akan datang, tapi mereka sudah bersiap-siap dengan segala kemungkinan yang ada. Pertanyaannya, bagaimana dengan kita? Apakah kita sudah siap dengan segalanya? Jadi jangan sampai kalah juga ya dengan UK dengan segala prediksinya. Okay, next, Lee, do you have another slide?
That's the end of the presentation. Obviously, we were ending on a question that we don't know the answer to, which is unfortunate, because as you asked, do we have a prediction? And we don't. At the moment, we're trying to prepare for Christmas and things like that.
Okay.
So it's difficult. Lots of things in the news with the government, different local regions trying to fight the government to say, we don't want to lock down. Why are you forcing us to do all these measures that we don't want to do because it will hurt our businesses?
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much, Lee. We have some questions here. Are you finished with your materials, or should we move on to the discussion?
We can go to the discussion.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Lee. We have several questions in the chat. The first one is from Surya Indraswara. He asked how if there is an honest staff regarding his health. So when he filled out the form, the self-assessment form, and he's not honest with it. What do you think?
Okay, we do have policies in place regarding that. Actually, back in September, we had one person who had contact with one of their friends had COVID-19, and they went to go and get a test, but they didn't tell anybody. So they came into work, they did two days at work, and then their test results came back positive.
Wow.
So they came into work and said the next day and said, look, I've got this positive test. I've been lying. I've been coming to work. Obviously, people panic about money and things like that, so they come to work anyway. And what ended up happening, we said, right, go home. And we had to clean everything. So we've hired more cleaners to cover that. So yeah, everywhere they'd worked was shut down and cleaned and cleaned and cleaned.
Okay, that's when the people decided to say that they are positive. How if they keep it hidden? What happened?
There's not a lot
we don't want that
do.
to.
Yeah, we don't want that to happen. If it came out that somebody had been hiding it on purpose for a long time,
and
people
they
would
will get
catch it,
confiscated as well.
Yeah.
Can you
Eventually
punish
we'd
them?
find out.
Yeah,
You
okay.
can. This person who caught it didn't get punished because it was like genuine panic over how am I going to pay for food.
Okay.
Luckily, we have if somebody is off with illness, they'll still get paid. We'll pay them what's called sick pay. So that's
Okay.
normally not an issue, but people still panic. They don't want to lose their job because they're sick or anything like that.
Oke. Bapak Ibu, sebelum saya menerjemahkan Lee, Bapak Ibu bisa mulai mengisi formulir absen yang ada di chat. Dan silakan diklik untuk formulir atau link formulirnya untuk absensi. Ya, so for Surya Indra Suara, jadi untuk Surya, jawaban dari Lee adalah pernah ada kasus, ada pekerja yang dia itu tidak tahu kalau dia sudah positif. Dan dia tetap masuk. Namun, setelah beberapa lama, akhirnya, kalau nggak salah dia masuk sekitar 2 hari, setelah 2 hari, dia akhirnya mendapatkan hasil ceknya itu ternyata positif, dan dia langsung diminta untuk pulang, dan juga semua alat yang ada di daerah itu disterilkan, dan ternyata di sana juga hukumnya ketat. Kalau misalnya hal tersebut atau ketidakjujuran tersebut dilakukan secara disengaja, akan ada sanksinya, dan untuk orang-orang yang diminta tidak masuk kerja, masih tetap akan diberi gaji. Jadi ada yang namanya sick leave, jadi akan ada diberi cuti sakit dan juga masih digaji di sana. Okay, Lee, we have another question from Kismun Tofia from Biology Education. The first one is, I think I can answer this question, but if you have another question, please go ahead. Another answer, please go ahead. The first question is, how is the biology research in the UK doing in this pandemic? Whatever happened into the materials or the machine of the biology, the maintenance of the machine, whatever happened? That's the first question. And then the second one is that, generally, do you think that this pandemic also affecting the amount of research in biology or other field because of this pandemic? And do you have any solution for that? So which one do you would like to answer?
I can take the second question.
Okay, I can take the first one.
Yeah. Do you want to answer the first one first then?
Okay, no, you first.
Okay, so how is it affecting the research going forward? So absolutely, it is having an impact. First of all, lots of people being forced to stay home means that the pace of research has slowed down over the past 6 months or so, especially universities being in the UK. Universities were shut down all the way until September, so there was about four months or so. I've got a friend who works at Leicester University in the middle of the UK, and he's only just gone back to work now. So from March until October, he didn't work in his biology lab. So that stopped all of their research. The other thing is funding for research is being channeled more into pandemic research than other fields. So everyone wants a vaccine. So at Oxford University, we're doing lots of trials to try and make this vaccine and try to study the genetics of the pandemic and things like that as well.
So in the UK, it's Oxford. In the UK, it's Oxford
mostly
who's
Oxford.
doing the research.
Yeah. So lots of money is being given to those projects instead of normal other projects.
Okay, so the research in other field is maybe they are decreasing, but they are shifted into the COVID research. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. It's like you'll know in a university, popular projects get more funding. Whatever's in the news, what's big in the media, what's going to bring in attention is what gets the most money. So at the moment, everything is COVID research. So other projects are going to struggle to compete for funding as a result of that.
Okay. Let me translate it. Okay. Jadi secara umum di UK untuk penelitian memang ada penurunan, tapi jangan lupa bahwa banyak juga funding dari government untuk riset-riset di bidang COVID-19. Jadi riset-riset mungkin yang di bidang lain itu pasti akan harus mengalah dulu karena dana-dana riset yang ada itu akan didahulukan untuk riset-riset COVID-19. Dan kalau di UK yang mengembangkan mengenai riset COVID-19 dan vaksin-vaksinnya itu adalah dari Oxford University. Dan untuk pertanyaan yang pertama, bagaimana kabar penelitian di UK? Jadi saya sudah bertanya ke salah satu dosen saya yang ada di Newcastle University. Di sana juga diterapkan protokol yang ketat di laboratorium. Jadi bahwa dalam satu hari itu laboratorium hanya bisa diisi oleh beberapa orang. Itu pun juga harus secara shift-shiftan. Dan yang di meja ini juga dikasih waktu maksimal, misalnya kita di sana kerja berapa jam, maka setelah itu harus dibersihkan dengan sangat menyeluruh. Jadi protokolnya sangat-sangat ketat, labnya masih berjalan seperti biasa, namun protokolnya sudah sangat-sangat ketat. Okay, next question, Lee. There's a question from Berliana Susanti from a biology education department. She's asking, what do you think when you are working in the place that is not or different with your degree? And is there any difference that you feel when you're working outside your degree or outside your skilled in biology, for example?
So do you mean difficulties and that
anything,
sort of thing,
anything, difficulties, or what you feel? Do you feel weird, or do you feel I don't want to work in this kind of place or something like that?
It's strange at first when you enter a different lab. There's a knowledge gap. So obviously my background wasn't in battery chemistry. I knew a little bit about it from background research and looking into it before the job, but the product itself I had next to no knowledge of. So the first, say, 6 months or so was mostly spent trying to learn all this new stuff about the battery itself. The work,
6
the
months
machine
for adaptation, 6 months.
Yeah, thereabout. That sort of rough time period. The machines and the skills are the same. So lots of like pipette work. Again, like the picture of the HPLC that I showed, those are all things I've got experience with. So that's all the same, but the actual materials themselves are brand new. So that you've got to learn all of that. And sometimes you do think maybe I could change back to a biology career, but that option never goes away. So
you have your
for
inside
now,
passion, like going back to biology.
you can never. That's always going to be there. Your memories of university and that sort of thing. So, but at the moment, you go whatever's going to give you money. Really, you've got to pay your bills. You've got to live. So if a different career gets you money, then you go for that, and then maybe later when you say, look, I've had so many years. If you work in a lab for say 5 years, you go, look, I've had 5 years working with these batteries. Not only has that been lab experience, but also I've proven that I can adapt to a new situation, and that's really valuable for people. They know if they give you a new problem, you're going to be able to adapt and solve it. So your career options just get wider as a result of that by widening your skill set.
And you get your experience of years to put in your CV as well.
Exactly. Yeah, it's all about, it's a game you've got to play to show employers why are you valuable? Why should I hire you over somebody else? That sort of thing. So, but as long as you've got that biology degree, if you decide you want to go back into biology, then you can. Usually, I know people in wildlife management, so helping to control animal populations and things like that. Because that's an even more competitive field than lab work. They did lots of different jobs for a while, and then after sort of 5-6 years, they were able to go back to their desired field, just because it just took time. Because they still had that degree, that doesn't go away. Even 6 years later, they see a government job for wildlife.
You have a hidden passion that always flaming in your heart.
Yes,
is that what you
yes,
mean?
exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And you still got the knowledge. The knowledge you don't lose that. As long as you've got to keep up to date, because research advances very quickly. But with the internet, with like Google Scholar and all that sort of thing, you can keep reading and in the background. As long as you keep working on your knowledge, you'll always be able to move careers if you feel like you want to do something else.
Okay, let me try to translate it, Lee.
Okay, I said quite a lot there.
But it's from your heart. I think this is very important to share to everyone. Oke, jadi Lee tadi sudah bercerita sekaligus curhat bahwa apabila kita sudah lulus dari suatu bidang, misalnya bidang dalam biologi, maka di hati kita pasti tidak akan pernah bisa meninggalkan bidang tersebut. Namun, jangan khawatir. Jangan khawatir, kenapa? Karena terkadang setelah kita lulus ada sesuatu hal yang jauh lebih penting daripada sekedar passion kita. Apakah hal itu? Hal itu adalah sesuatu untuk mencari nafkah ya, kalau istilahnya dalam bahasa Indonesia. Kita harus paying bills, kita harus membayar tagihan, kita harus mencari nafkah, kita harus mencukupi misalnya orang atau support keluarga kita. Maka apabila kepentingan itu harus dilakukan dengan cara kita mengambil sesuatu di bidang lain, lakukan saja, karena hal itu yang jauh lebih penting saat ini. Tapi dalam hati kita, kalau dalam perasaannya Lee, dia akan masih tetap menyimpan atau meng-keep skill biologi dan keinginannya untuk suatu saat pindah lagi di bidang biologi. Jadi tidak menutup kemungkinan bahwa suatu saat dia akan kembali ke bidang biologi. Jadi Lee hanya berpesan bahwa teman-teman apabila setelah lulus nanti teman-teman mendapatkan pekerjaan yang jauh dari skill teman-teman, tidak apa-apa, ambil saja dulu dan betah-betahkan dulu di sana, karena nanti teman-teman akan mendapatkan skill yang lebih bernilai, dan setelah beberapa tahun teman-teman akan mendapatkan pengalaman yang banyak, maka teman-teman bisa shift kembali atau kembali ke bidang teman-teman di biologi dengan berbekal berbagai pengalaman yang sudah teman-teman alami. Jadi contohnya seperti saya sendiri ya, saya bidangnya biologi, namun saya juga pernah bekerja di suatu tempat menjadi salah satu konselor pendidikan internasional, dan di sana saya belajar banyak sekali bahasa, berinteraksi dengan orang, memperluas jaringan seperti apa. Lalu passion saya membawa saya kembali untuk di bidang biologi, dan sekarang saya menjadi dosen biologi di UIN Wali Songo. Ya, semoga menjawab apa yang sudah.
Can I just add to my answer there as well? Because even though it's a different type of lab to biology, I'm still at work when I get assessments and things like that. I'm still considered the best member of staff in the lab, just because my master's degree is the highest qualification of people in my lab.
Oh, wow.
So because even though I had to learn new technologies, the experience from my master's degree has translated so well into different lab work that I can still, once I've done that 6 months catching up, you can advance. So there's don't think that just because you've got a certain degree, you're going to be weaker than somebody, say, with a chemistry degree in a chemistry lab. That's not always true.
So your degree is the biggest thing. I mean, your biggest capabilities other than other people, because you can learn like double abilities from biology.
Basically,
you got, and then from chemistry you got. Okay. Jadi Lee juga berpesan bahwa jangan berkecil kecil hati, walaupun misalnya nanti adik-adik atau teman-teman yang di sini akan bekerja di bidang yang bukan bidang teman-teman, jangan berkecil hati dengan orang-orang yang misalnya teman-teman kerja di kimia, nanti akan minder sama orang-orang yang kimia. Enggak. Bahkan Lee ini sudah menunjukkan bahwa dia adalah salah satu staf terbaik di perusahaan yang banyak menerapkan kimia, tapi walaupun dia background-nya biologi, dia sudah menunjukkan bahwa dia bisa menguasai biologi, bisa kimia juga bisa. Jadi itu adalah skill tambahan yang kita tidak perlu minder dengan orang-orang. Dan Lee juga menceritakan awal-awal 6 bulan pertama mungkin salah satu masa yang tersulit karena dia harus beradaptasi dengan segalanya. Namun setelah 6 bulan dia bisa menguasai semuanya dan bahkan berbalik dia jadi salah satu staf terbaik di sana. Okay, Lee, we have another question, Lee.
Okay.
Yeah, from Dava Nafila. Okay. Hi, Mr. Lee. I'm student of biology education in Wali Songo University. As we know, when we choose the education study program, most at the end we will be teacher or lecturer. Yeah, that's what Dava thinks. So do you think that people who choose biology education program also can work or applying for a job in other place like laboratory for research or maybe like working in machine industrial field? Okay, Lee, to give you insight, I'm wondering, do you have a biology education program in the UK? Or only education?
To become a teacher, so to go from
to become a
degree
biology
to become
teacher.
Yes. Well, for every degree, you have teacher training, like a conversion course. So after university, you do 1 year where they teach you to be a teacher.
Okay.
You can pick whatever you want to be a teacher. And so usually if you have to have say you want to teach maths, you need to have a maths qualification. For biology, you'll need to have a biology qualification.
But before that, I'm wondering, in Indonesia, if you take the biology education study program, it is a very certain degree where you are learning to be a biology teacher after you graduate. Right. And her question is, do you think it is possible for this kind of teaching degree or education degree to work in the lab? So that's why my first question is, do you ever know any biology education or math education degree in the UK? Have you ever heard of it in the UK?
Yes, we do have it. My partner did a teacher for not for a science, but for as an English teacher. And she isn't a teacher now. She changed career.
Oh, okay.
So to answer the question, I would say yes, you can.
So it depends on the person, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's what you want to do. It's all about your capabilities. So you still, as in teacher training, you'll still gain valuable skills that can be translated. Again, earlier on, talking about communication skills, to communicate to a class or to your fellow teachers, that's to communicate to sort of teaching children is harder, I would say, than communicating to other adults sometimes. So those are skills that can translate. Your understanding of biology, maybe you don't have practical lab experience, but you still have the inside knowledge. You still know how it works. So to then go and pick up a lab skill, you'll learn it quicker than a normal person would.
Okay.
So if you got through that course and you decided actually maybe
I want to work in the lab.
Yes. There's a bigger jump to make, but it's not impossible. You can't. In fact, it's very achievable, I would say.
Okay.
I know people who've done it.
You know people. Okay.
Yeah.
Jadi Mbak Dava Nafila, jawaban dari Lee adalah di Inggris juga pernah ada kasus seperti itu. Jadi dia mengambil degree atau studi di bidang pendidikan dan setelah lulus ternyata dia mengambil bidang lain. Hal itu sangat possible. Apalagi ya. Ini dari pengetahuan saya juga. Untuk biology education, selain diajarkan mengenai basic untuk mengajar, teman-teman juga diajarkan untuk basic di laboratorium. Betul? Nah, Basic dari laboratorium itulah yang bisa dijadikan modal untuk teman-teman apabila ingin melakukan karir di bidang lab atau penelitian atau research dan juga di bidang industri. Jadi bagi yang mengambil mata kuliah pendidikan biologi, jangan sia-siakan atau bermalas-malasan ketika sedang melakukan praktikum, karena itulah salah satu modal besar teman-teman apabila suatu saat ternyata teman-teman memutuskan tidak ingin mengajar, lalu mengambil karir yang lainnya, misalnya di lab atau di research. Okay, Lee. That's the end of the questions I found in the chat. So I would like to offer anyone who is in the room, if you would like to talk directly to Lee, and if there's no one or no other question, and then we can try to wrap up and ending this meeting. Okay? Apakah ada pertanyaan yang ingin disampaikan ke Lee secara langsung, baik dalam bahasa Indonesia atau dalam bahasa Inggris, sebelum kita menutup pertemuan ini? Apakah ada Bapak Ibu atau teman-teman semua? Okay, Lee, looks like everyone's already happy for your material, and the enlightening speech and your sharing of your experience. Okay.
Thank you for your kind words.
Yeah, I hope that we can see you again in the future. Maybe you can talk about your undergraduate research or your master,
absolutely.
or your master degree research. Okay, and I would like to do a conclusion to wrap up everything up. I will read the conclusion for today's meeting. Firstly in English and then in Bahasa. So everyone, we reached the end of the meeting. Right now we can conclude that we have already learned a lot from our first and second speaker. From first speaker, or Raziel Isaraga, we already learned how to do an engagement with students using some platforms such as Nearpod. And in our second speaker, Lee Watson, we already know about his experience, how to cope with the pandemic in the UK in his lab work, and also regarding his skills in biology that he can use in other fields such as chemistry, like where he is working right now. Okay. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to give back the session into the Master of Ceremony. But before that, I would like to say thank you very much again for Raziel and Lee Watson. Thank you very much, Lee, for joining us today. And
thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, see you again in the future, Lee. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Okay, please. Master of Ceremony, Miss Wanda, are you there?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for Ibu Tara Puri Duharahmani MSc, and also thank you for Mr. Lee Watson MSc and Mr. Raziel Izaraga, Bachelor of Science. What an excellent presentations from our keynote speaker, right? And now we come to the end of this event, but before we close the webinar, we will hold a photo sessions again. So please turn on your camera for all your participants. Okay. You will take photos again. I will count for it. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Excellencies, distinguished guests, participants, ladies and gentlemen, Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim. We are very honored to have time with us this afternoon. We have had a productive and inspiring time together, and this event is about to very end. On behalf of the host and committee, we would like to extend once again our deepest appreciations to you for all your support in participations. Thank you, and thank you very much. Till we meet again, perhaps in the next webinar. Good afternoon. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.